Hi, and welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I'm Mr. C, a Viroko critic. I hope you're doing well. We do have a long one for you, so I will not keep you here too long. But I do have to remind you that next week we are on break. In case you just don't listen to the end, because this is a long one. But don't ask. I haven't forgotten you. Next week we are on a break next week, but in the meantime we are having a very long and fiery. No, this is not fiery. It's not fiery like because I think we generally agree on this one. I think this is one that has a general consensus for the most part. The main debate is in which version is better, Team Red or Team Blue. Now, if you know the film we're talking about, which you must do because you've seen the title, you must know what we mean. Anyway, I do hope you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing Ms Kanyin. Welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I'm Mr. C of Roku Critic. We do discuss Nollywood movies every Sunday, 6 p.m. Watt. Today, did I say we did discuss Nollywood movies? Sometimes we discuss Nollywood movies. Other times we discuss Nollywood topics, but it's not Nollywood related. Every Sunday, 6 p.m. Watt. Today we are discussing a Nollywood movie, though, in Ms Coin. We're going to discuss what we like in the good. We'll discuss what we don't like in the bad. We'll disagree and push back, and we'll do a summary. If you don't want to speak, but you want to contribute, comment underneath the space, and we shall read it out. All right. Vanessa, what did you like about Miss Coin?
Hi y'all. Miss Kanyin was another perfect accompaniment to loosening 1 million braids. Which, if you cannot tell, it's been a week and I'm still on it. I've been loosening these braids since 8:30 this morning, and I still have a section to go. So yeah, I'm a bit delirious, but we're gonna get through it. What did I like? Sorry guys, I swear I'm delirious. I've been listening since 8:30 this morning, and I know because I sat down at 8:30. Anywho, um what did I like? Oh, my major like in this, and like I don't care what anyone says, is Ademola Adedoyin. I thought Ademola Adedoyin was wonderful in this. I enjoy seeing him. I don't see him as often as I would like to. So maybe there's also that I have that bias in that he's not overly saturated in a lot of films, so I'm not tired of seeing him. But I enjoy seeing him when I do get the chance to see him. And him playing a northerner made absolute sense. You know what also makes absolute sense about Ademola Adedoyin? Ademola Adedoyin has the face for a period film. Now, we don't know what period this film is, but that's beside the point. Um, Ademola Adedoyin is genuinely built to be in period films. His face is not iPhone face. Ademola Adedoyin does not have iPhone face. Ademola Adedoyin has a 90s face. Ademola Adedoyin has a 80s face. And it's obvious from October 1 to Breath of Life to this. His face is built for films that are not made in the 2000s and 2020s and 2010s of the world. And I think it's incredible that we have an actor whose face is built for that. And I think more people should take advantage of that. And I like that he is a bit picky in the type of period films that he attaches himself to. Now, are they overall successes? But was he successful in them? Yes. So very pleased for Ademola Adedoyin. Also, his name is the perfect alliteration. It's wonderful. What else did I really like? I always like Michelle Dede. I think she's lovely. Granted, we will ignore the Mashari. Um, but I always like seeing Michelle Dede. I think she's incredibly beautiful. I think she does a lot of work with her face and with her mouth. When she grimaces, you can see the that she's an all around using her face type of actor. So I like watching Michelle Dede. What else did I really like? I guess I don't even know. Maybe the first and a half, 1.5 acts. I didn't hate it. So there's that. I like that this felt like a real Nigerian secondary school. And before anybody comes and shouts, oh, all the other ones that we've seen that do usually wear blazer in the heat of Nigerian sun, that those one is rich people's school. I would like to put it to you that this school doesn't appear to be for Mekunu either. If someone's daddy is brigadier general, one person want go Harvard, other person is going New York for modeling, one other person is breaking swimming record, then guys, this school obviously isn't for poor people either, but it still looks like a quintessential Nigerian secondary school. Up and down, socks with sandals. Guys, I'm sorry. That's why even if I work in fashion, I can never get behind the fact that you can't wear socks with sandals. I'm Nigerian. I wore socks with sandals for at least the first, 15 years of my life. Sue me, socks with sandals makes sense. And I like seeing socks with sandals, guys. What else did I like? I guess I liked the location of the school, the dormitories, the whole idea of the chalet, because they are in quite a secluded part of town, that the teachers had chalets that were, in or around the property, which made sense to me. I liked that there was an excuse for why Natse Jemide's character had long hair. Um, any other person would have ignored it, whatever. But I like that they quickly gave us a reason. He's supposedly a record breaker who gets special treatment from the principal because of his supposed record breaking achievement, and so he has that advantage. And we've all been in schools where certain people got advantages, be it mixed race people to carry their long hair to school, or one thing did one thing and another person gets privileges that other people didn't get. So I guess I liked the fact that they explained that to us quite quickly in this and didn't have me say, oh, what is that? What else did I really like? What else did I like?
Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself. It's okay.
To be honest, I think I'm done. Emobin.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Vanessa. Elizabeth, tell us what you enjoyed about Ms Kanyin.
Hi everyone. I think I would say the first thing that I enjoyed is that it's within reasonable time length. It's long still, 1 hour 51 minutes. I didn't look at the credits, so I'm going to take that because I'm tired of 2 hour films that go nowhere. Second thing is the nostalgia, definitely. As a millennial myself, it's very reminiscent, and then if you've had to travel to these schools, great to see Adeyemi College again, and you're familiar with some of these things. So the nostalgia did real hit hard. Like, you can see they're showing you Walkman. Even that Walkman was just too crispy clean. Like, I expected it to be well, used, but it looked like they just opened it from inside the nylon. The telephones, I liked seeing the iron buckets, but it was too clean. It was too brand new. It was like maybe those GSS1 students that were carrying. But yeah, it was really nice to see some of these perps that you found yourself. I mean, unfortunately, seeing in boarding school, seeing it in film, and it feels like a real representation. So yeah, that's nice. Vanessa has most of the thing. Another thing that I like is I think Nemzia pictures now they're probably synonymous with crispy clean film at this point, aesthetics wise. I think it's really it's great, but I don't think we should be clapping for a fish for swimming, but that's where we find ourselves. I think it's really nice. I mean, it would have just been better if they had the better storytelling to match the pictures, but it was great. Then the acting, funny enough, the acting didn't annoy me. The people in here are the bunch of Nollywood cool kids. Great to see them again. It's just that they just look like the cool kids. Nothing to they weren't annoyed, pissing me off, which is great. I wasn't cringing, which again, you might not get it, but it's really part of my good. Like, I'm like, okay, you know what? E for F, okay, not E, but E for effort. I Another thing that I really like, I watched it this afternoon. Apart from the fact that it was not too long, it was inoffensive. It was pretty much straightforward, which I'd always been complaining because Nollywood tends to take on too much and does nothing with it. So maybe they try to go for something similar this time. Point from point A to point B. I mean, to whatever point they were going to. It seemed like you can draw a pretty straight arrow. Now, some of the things that they put together might not make sense. Like, oh, why is French important? But in this world, French was important to her. She really needed it, and it was enough reason for her to go still recruiting people. From the plot points makes sense. Another thing that I like is that no, I forget it now. Okay, probably come to me. The fact that Ninja also I like seeing their meals. You will see Demolade it was in Breath of Life, so seeing him here. I didn't see the other guy. There's somebody else I was expecting to see that I didn't see here. But it's nice seeing Ninja, like you see Ninja crowd. I don't put it in quotes crowd. The storytelling didn't take on too much. I wish that it was daring. The story wasn't exactly daring, but it was too, I was wondering, it was too blasé, is that the word? And the spin on Madame Koi Koi, you know what? I'll give you that with Ms Kanyin. Okay. I thought it was a better spin to the Netflix one. I think okay, we'll get to the bad, but I think it was just the plot wise. I think it's a nice spin. We'll probably not get enough of Miss Koi Koi's story. I don't mind. Somebody should make a fifth one because I'm sure there's one on YouTube that is just previously. It was a good spin to it. Nice afternoon watch. Not offensive. These are really my likes.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Marshmallows, you want to tell us what you liked about Ms Kanyin?
I don't have much to say. Just that I like the attempt to do a boarding school type Nollywood movie. As someone who went to boarding school, I was really looking forward to it, and that's why I tuned in. The other thing I liked was the dog. I remember seeing when the dog came on screen the first time, I was like, well, at that point, I was like, this dog might be the best actor of the whole bunch. And by the end of it, I was like, yeah, I think the dog was a very good casting. Yeah, that's all.
Shout out to the dog. All right. Okay. Alan, do you want to tell us the things you liked about Ms Kanyin?
Bonsoir mes amis. Bienvenue dans l'espace. Je suis désolée, I would like to revert back to English so those of us who are not as familiar with the language of love can be carried along. So let's get into what I liked about this our little Francois Anglais movie. First off, I noticed that there were a lot of people saying things like, oh, why did Amara do all that? It's just French. It's not that deep. And I was quite shocked to see that people do not understand or realize the importance of French as a core subject to some of us in Nigeria. I happen to write French in my WAEC, so I understand where Amara was coming from, I could relate to her that you need to pass French or else your life will spoil. And also, I did not want to die in Nigeria like my French teacher. So when I was writing French in WAEC, I said to myself, if I don't pass this thing, I'm finished. So when I wrote that French, I got a C, just like Amara is so scared she was going to get. And this C meant that I obviously couldn't make it to Harvard, which was very sad for my life. So watching this movie, it's made me realize that maybe I could have done things differently, I saw a lot of myself in Amara. So I liked that they created a character that I could relate to. And maybe if I had thought of going to steal the question papers from someone's office, maybe I would have gone to Harvard. So I like that. I also liked AMVCA winner with the golden plaque, Ademola Adedoyin, in this as usual, because this man knows his craft, all right? He knows how to act. I loved his portrayal of this northern character. I loved that this wasn't a caricature. I loved the accent, how he used it, how he was able to use the language itself in certain scenes. I think his general portrayal of Mustapha, Musti is one of the better portrayals of northern characters we've seen in Nollywood. So I really appreciated his contribution. I also liked the beautiful faces in this. I did not have high hopes. I'm going to be honest. I did not have high hopes when I saw some of those names on the cast list, but I think that they actually they did well. They were decent in this, and that's definitely a good for me. I really loved the school setting, the general setting. I loved the dormitories. I loved the staff room. I loved the fact that they were that they had these up and down uniforms. I loved the day wears and that they were all different colors. It was very much reminiscent of the average Nigerian. It looked like finally these people are actually showing us something that people can relate to. I loved the cafeteria. I loved the little drama that went on in the cafeteria. I had issues with the fact that beans was a little too thick because it's what three beans we used to eat in boarding school. I don't know, give an account beans. But yeah, I just generally loved the setting and yeah, just the location and just the entire nostalgia thing. I noticed that the iron buckets were not iron bucketing for 1994. Those were that's maybe like 2022 iron buckets, but no problem. We'll move on to that later. But yeah, I liked some of the acting performances. I liked the Elizabeth said, I loved the whole Miss Coin thing to reflect Miss Coin Coin. I like that they used the name Coin, so it was smart. And I also liked, what else did I like? Yeah, that's a lot. I like that Michelle did in this as well. The scene where she was talking about using pancake to flog the children. I felt her anger in that scene. I thought she did really well in this. So yeah, those are the things I liked. Yeah, I like those.
All right. Thank you, Alana. Ndaka, do you want to tell us some of the things you liked about Miss Coin?
Yes. Good evening. Okay, so I have a bunch of things I like about this movie, if I can remember all of them now. Yeah, like everybody has mentioned, I liked the
Can anybody else hear Ndaka?
like. Hey, well, can you hear
Okay, I
me?
can hear you now. All right.
Okay, sorry. I was saying that I liked the location, like everybody has said. I also like the teen drama that went on in the film. I thought it was really nice. I'm a huge fan of teen drama, and I like the characters those kids play. They really bring the cool mean kid thing out, and it suits them. Two of those characters, two of the sisters, I don't know if they're sisters, they blend into one, but I'm not too offended by that. So I like that in drama. I like the gore when it's there. I don't think it's there as often as it's supposed to be. But when it's there, I like how they cut off the white man's head in the beginning and there was blood all over that. I really love blood. I like that I like how they killed off one of those girls that I said that blended into one. I like those two deaths. The one they killed in the toilet, how she fell and broke her head on the seat and it broke off and there was blood everywhere. I really enjoyed that. I like the accident one when the car tumbled and she came out with like the glass in her eyes and there was blood everywhere before Miss Coin came and chopped her off with her fingers. I liked I liked how those deaths were done. There were some really cool deaths. I even like the death that was done in the swimming pool. We don't know exactly what happened there, but I like it the way he burst out of the pool and fell beside and just died there. I thought that was like some really cool deaths that they came out with. I don't think they were very creative with all the deaths, but some of them really hit really well. Yeah, so I liked the performances. I liked Ademola. I liked Michelle Dede. I even liked Temi Otedola, right? When her British accent is not coming out, she's actually quite nice. And she's just manipulating and doing like, evil stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I can't wait for you to die too, you little fucker. But I think she did all of that really nice. So yeah, for now, that's all I like about the film. I hope you heard me.
Yes, no, we did indeed hear you. Thanks, Induka.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Otas, do you want to tell us what you liked about this coin?
I really liked that this ended, I think. But honestly, I think for me, primarily liked Ms Kanyin as a character and as a actor. I really enjoyed her outfits. The first one she opens up with, the white one with like the colorful print, very pretty, and her red dress is gorgeous. Loved her hair. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's been a minute. We got that the Otas reviews, but good to see. All right. Okay. After Otas, Rotimi, do you want to tell us some of the things you liked about Ms Kanyin?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is probably my best Nemsha's production from I probably take this over this thing, Breath of Life. I like the fact that it's almost like a hybrid between like what a Nigerian secondary school would look like and almost like the teenage slasher horror flick. It meets itself halfway. I like the casting. There's like a lot of pretty people. Like, you understand, you can never go wrong when you have beautiful people on screen. Yemi has this thing, like, it's almost something that almost happened in Far From Home. He has this kind of, like, I won't call it like maybe a repeating role, but he has this, I'm the cool guy, I have a bunch of friends, but I'm the cool, chilled guy among all these guys, and I'm just like the cool one among them. So he's like, he played that up again in the midst of all the cool kids in the class. I loved this thing, the chemistry between like Michelle Dede and Ademola as like Ms Kanyin and Musti. Like the way their relationship was it was nice. It was Musti and her were like, you know, the relationship and like all the building of their relation was very nice. It was very cool. It was very nice. It was sweet. It was sweet. I also like Kalu Ikiagu as the principal. Like, he was like, there was one particular part where like, when Michelle Dede and him met at the beginning and was like, oh, so like, and she was like, oh, I can give me a raise. Then he has this kind of a nervous laugh and I'm like, okay, that was actually funny. There was also another part where like Jemide was talking with, Mr. Mustapha at the dining hall where it was like, he made something like, hope there's not another small junior, and he was like, oh, when you give your, the banana, was a plantain to Ms. Kanyin. I'm like, no, you did not say that to your teacher. No. So it was those kind of small interactions were actually funny. Then, still on the casting, I like Kanaga, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, as he's almost kind of like the jock, the senior prefect, kind of, he's not really a bully, but he's like, I think it's almost like that part of his character being the son of a brigadier general. So he had this kind of hostility that he used to display and everything. Like when, Temi Otedola is talking in the dining hall, then everybody's like still talking while she's talking and he tells everybody to shut up. So she's like, you know, he had that. I liked his character. Then Tolu George as almost like the principal's daughter, but almost also like the teacher's pet. So I like the casting. The secondary school nuances were like wonderful for me. There were so many that were so nice. The staff room, when that other teacher was punishing that student, then Mitchell Dede tells him like, look, go. And he says, no, you still kneel down there. And I'm like, yes, that is so secondary school. The Kanaga with his school sons, when it was like his school son that he wants to toast a girl, I was like, oh, you're my school son. And like, you understand, you don't have to toast a girl. What kind of school son are you? The visiting day, the manual labor punishments when Mustapha takes them out to like, you understand, to, as punishment because of the argument we're having in class. I'm like, that happens. The dining hall setting, the model of torchlight, the box in Ms Kane's room, do you understand? The vehicles, though there's now a little bit disparity. I don't know what time period. It's not clear. But if I want to gamble, I'll say it's in the 90s. So the vehicles look time appropriate. Then for the actual thing about the visuals of this thing, this is actually well shot. I like the way it was shot. There's just that whole thing of like if you see the nature of the whole school, it had this brownish texture on the walls with the bricks and everything. Then so it contrasts well with like the students' uniform with the blue versus the gold and everything. Also like the very first scene when the school was, when they were the opening of the film, when you saw like how the school, they used, I think it was most likely graphics, where they showed how the school was being built over the land where the tree was. Then, I saw the school was kind of like being built, and that was time lapse. That was nice. I think that like, there's also some things that were doing visually that I kind of like. So when the teacher, Carlo tells all the students to go back to their class, then everybody's running. There's this thing where Temi she's running, but you can notice that it's a high angle drone shot, but you can notice her because she's the only one wearing long white socks. So it's like long white socks. So you can see, something captures it visually. Then there's also one thing that was kind of, for me, was almost like they did very well with Michelle Dede. When she first comes to the assembly, they have this thing that they are focusing on her shoes. So at that point, she's wearing the black shoes with her long black leggings or socks. And I'm like, later, when she moves into, like, she changed to the Madame Koi Koi, the full Madame Koi Koi, you now have her with the red shoes and they are focusing on that. So I'm like, that was actually nice. Some nice attempt at VFX and props design, like with the toilets. There was a scorpion coming out of the stuff. Then I like just small elements of maybe in the story structure that had to do, like the setup things that kind of played off later. So when you do the intro with the tree, that establishes that the tree is the evil. When blood connects with it, something happens. So you set that one up, it pays off later. Ms Kanyen's fear of dogs, which later you use it when she's running away from the dog, falls on the tree. So the setup. Then Kananga, when Kananga sees her with his dad, the Brigadier General, which I also saw, Epion was also nice in this, even though he had a small part. I also liked it, but it sets up that when she slaps him at the dining hall, then he says, okay, I want in on the stealing the exam papers. Then he's the one that releases the dog that sets Michelle Dede to run into the forest and eventually causes her death. Then that whole thing when Ms. Kanyin was like, I wish I could flog them with pancreas. So before she even changes, she has some kind of resentment against the students. So by the time she changes and she starts taking them out one by one, it's almost like, okay, all these things were set up before they actually started happening. So yeah, that's basically my goods.
Oh my God. All right. Okay. Thanks, Rotimi. Timmy, please tell us some of the things you liked about what's going.
Hi. So as expected from Nexus Studios, this film looks really good, which other people have commented on. It looks very polished. It looks clean. Yeah. I also liked the use of locations. I have no idea where this film was shot, but I don't even know if they shot it in a real school. Whatever they did, however they did it, kudos to them, because I really felt like this was a real school. This was a school that could actually exist somewhere in the thick of Nigeria's forest, or I don't know. But yeah, I felt like the school could actually exist. At some point in the film, I almost started comparing it with how they portrayed Hogwarts in Harry Potter. But that's how impressed I was because, yeah. What else did I like? I liked the fact that the teenagers felt more Nigerian than the ones we usually see, especially the ones from Far From Home. They felt the mannerisms, the slangs, they felt more Nigerian. They weren't doing I wanna, I gotta. So yeah, towards the end of the film, when they started killing people, when the tension started rising, I was feeling the tension. I was invested. Yes, basically, I was invested during those moments of the film. Um, I liked the comedy that they did with the staff room teachers. I felt like it was very low hanging fruit, and I just like the fact that they went for it. Although I just hope that it doesn't now become a common thing. Hopefully, like Marshmallow said, I also like the dog. I loved the dog. I felt like the dog was, yeah, like they said, the best. The best thing about this thing, I would like to see the dog come for next year's AMVCAs. I would like the dog to be our own Messi for next year's AMVCAs. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Timmy. Astor, please tell us some of the things you liked about Miss Coin. Can people hear Astor?
Mbano.
Astor, you're not hearable. Yes, I said hearable.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Sorry, Astor, we can't hear you. Maybe try going off and coming back on again. Keep your spot. No worries. Stephanie, tell us the things you liked about Miss Coin.
Hi everyone. So my likes about Miss Kanyin, first of all, I mean, like everyone has already said, if you went to boarding school, it felt really nice seeing how they portrayed it. So that's one. Last year we had a space about like our unpopular opinions, and one of mine was I thought the Netflix Madame Koi Koi was one of the worst things I've ever seen. That still stands, but at least this is better than that one, so that's a good point for them. And I liked seeing fresh faces. I don't know, to me they were fresh faces, so that was nice to see them. And my last like would be, I don't know if the motivation is still good, but I understood Amara's whole thing with like French. So my own little story about French was in SS3 first term. I was a French student and my teacher was like, you know what, we have a lot of people in this class that do not know French or shouldn't be in this class. So she's like, everyone will take a test. If you pass the test, you still be in the class, and if you don't pass, then you drop the class. And I was there boasting with my friends, like, I'm going to definitely pass this. I have to take French in WAEC and all of that. But long story short, I failed the class. It's not the same, but exactly. But I kind of understood her insistence about the whole French thing. Again, another story if the motivation actually matches the story, but that's my little story. And that's all I liked about Miss Kain. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Stephanie. Astor, let's try again. There we go.
Yeah, can anyone hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So I liked, as everybody pointed out, like the setting of the movie was like really cool. It was quite realistic and stuff. I liked the acting. Like I'm in love with Michelle Dede. Like I just love everything she does. I liked the chemistry between her and the other guy, even though it was kind of like old people cringe. But I feel like that's what like it was supposed to be. Like I really liked it. I enjoyed the acting from the teenagers. I was kind of impressed by Timmy because I really wasn't when she did Citation, and I was like, wow, what is this? But like she did really good here, and I like how her character was just like manipulating everybody, even though she ended up not dying at the end. But that's like another story for another day. Um, yeah, I like that they gave Miss Coy kitten heels, and I love that he just kept making sounds all over the place. Like here is Miss Curry walking through the woods on soil, and it's just cock, cock, cock. I was like, okay, girl, like whatever. Um, I like the scene where she comes back to life and she immediately kills all the dogs in Nightmare Arenas. I'm like, that was just fucking hilarious. Like, if I hated dogs and I came back to life like Freddy Krueger, I too would do the same thing with like war geckos. But that's another story for another day. Um, yeah, I like the characterizations of the teens. They were quite awful. a lot of them were just fucking awful. So like when they started dying, I was like, well, maybe you kind of deserve that, you little shit. And also, I like that the deaths were on screen. Oh my god, I love that the deaths were on screen. Like, as Duka said, like they weren't final destination level deaths, but I love that they were on the screen. I love that there was blood. Unlike the one that Netflix did where they all died off camera, and I'm like, God damn it. Like I know they're trying to save budget, but like what is this? Um yeah, I really liked it. I like somebody said the scenes were really realistic and like they're very Nigerian in how they talked, even though like the scriptwriter did not pay attention to the time period of the dialogue at all, but like that will come later. Um yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Asta. A lot of people have submitted in their likes. Going to read a few of them. Actually, all of them, I guess. Domi says, this movie almost got away with nostalgia baiting with the boarding school setting, and a few took in 90s set pieces. I assume the actors were doing their best. I was intrigued by the first scene. Not gonna lie, I wanted to see where we were going. Okay, backhanded compliment there. Adeyemi says, my likes include Demola Adeyemi's performance, the boarding house setting, and the picture. Pichina says, well, I liked the fact that it is here. I'm glad that it kind of looks like the streamers might be giving Nollywood a second chance. And if that is so, I hope they don't waste it, though this movie didn't give me high hopes in that department. Lami says, bonjour, les merci. Is that French?
No, it's not. It's from a Yoruba film. But let me see my sister.
I mean, I like the colors in the movie and the relationship between Ms Kanyin and Mr. Mustapha. Musti. A big fan of the face cards too. Terrence says the scene where the students were running to their dormitories, amazing, brought back memories, some good acting. Kanaga, Temi really improved, Miss Going, Chisum, the first 20, 30 minutes, I wasn't bored. Okay, Lehi says, likes good performance from Demola Adedoyin and Kalu Keagu and, Tolu George. Boarding school setting and well shot. Is still tired said, I really like the opening scene, the transition from the forest to the school was smooth and impressive. I loved the grade and setting as well. All right. Mrs. C, what did you like about Ms. Coyne?
Someone's mentioned the opening transition. I liked that. When they transitioned from the forest to clearing it up for the school. That was really nice. I liked that. What else? I did have fun with the opening kill as well, with the first kill. That was fun. What else did I like? Temi's face card is impeccable. Absolutely beautiful. But then if she had all that money and did not look that good, I would have rioted. Rest of the cast as well. Beautiful. Absolutely just beautiful. I liked that they at least addressed, because I was about to riot about Swimmer's hair. And I guess Swimmer Man was not going to cut his hair for Nemsia. And they were like, all right, we're going to make something up. And like, all right, you get special treatment. Mentioned it a few times. I'm like, all right, cool. I understand what has happened here. I'm going to allow it. It's fine. Thank you for explaining it. At least I'm not crazy. School uniforms, apart from a lot of short skirts, because even though this is better than Far From Home, some of those skirts were still shorter than they would have gotten away with. I think Chisholm's length was the closest to what we could have gotten away with in school. I not go to school in the 90s, oh, please, 2000s. I'm not that old, and still we couldn't get away with that length. So I'm just saying. But also special shout out because that uniform was kind of one of my school uniforms. Literally that light blue and dark blue skirts. So shout out to PTSD. What else? There was something else I liked. I thought some of the lines were cute. I don't think they all got the reaction they should have got. Like I liked when, was it Lami said,
well, I'll be in New York and you'll be stuck here because you didn't pass French. I know that's the kind of dig you will throw at your friend, when they're overreacting to something. So I thought that was nice. But like, I feel like that's the kind of dig you'd have a response to, like a, or something, right? But still a all in good fun response. And it was just dead silence, just a bit of a, but I thought that line was cute. I can't remember, there was some other line I thought was cute. But there were a couple things, a couple lines that were kind of cute. What else? I liked the hostels. I liked the going out, to the toilet in the hostel. I didn't go to a boarding school that had outside toilets, but I know that a lot of the Miss Koi Koi law that I used to hear growing up was school students when you're going to the toilet at night and you're walking down that empty hallway and you hear koi 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 behind you. So I did appreciate that one of the kills did happen in that, secluded, walking to the toilet type situation. I also thought that kill was kind of fun. What else? I was going to say something as well. Also, yeah, I just appreciate or like another film being done with the Miss Koi Koi lore. I think, I think that's, yeah, let's do that. Let's get more of those stuff. Also, special shout out to Petra. I want to say you're such a good dog, but Jesus, why are you chasing her?
Petra was the reason why Miss Koiko exists.
Yeah.
Shout out. All right.
Sorry, I just want to say really quick. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, the scene where like Amara and Miss Kanyin are going at it in her house, and Amara is just like, "You think it's by speaking good French? You're going to die in Nigeria." I was like, "God damn it!" And it's a
That
thing
was
that kept
cool.
happening all through the movie. Like they were just throwing really like intense insults at each other.
Cool.
And I'm like, "Wow, these people are awful," but like kind of hilarious. So like, shit.
Yeah. That was cool. All right. Where was I? Color Missy says, I like the boarding school and when Amara slapped Finn. Tony says the location was good. I won't lie, the colors too were good. First 20 to 15 minutes were good. After that, LOL. Jeff says, I liked how more contained it was than the Netflix one. Didn't straight to fire, just to justify the law. And, okay. Alright, so, things I liked. Let me get on my notes, but it's not actually, I think everybody has kind of said parts of it. So the first one I have on my notes is the drone shot where it goes from the booth to and the building of the school and all of that. Yeah, that's for me, that's too many times we have drone shots that are just like pointless in Nollywood or hey, establishing shots or lack any sort of creativity behind it, and this one was one that actually had a point to it, so props for that, even though they did go on to do some of the drone shots that I'm criticizing. But that one was good. Yeah, Indika mentioned the kill at the toilet. I liked that one a lot. The her head breaking the toilet. I like that. That's one of those bit of details that you add that gives a little bit more bite that it didn't have to, it didn't have to be like that. But yeah, adding that just like a head cracking the toilet was a very nice touch. And then I have the teachers banter and a couple of decent lines there, but the teachers banter and I think Rotimi mentioned during the staff room or whatever. Yeah, the teacher betting on that kid to be the last in class. Like, how can anybody which idiot came lower than him? I thought that was as interesting. And yes, the kind of conversation I imagine that can happen behind closed doors with the teacher. So I thought that was all for me. That was interesting and that was nice. But yeah. I think, Chisholm. I think, I probably agree with with Mustapha's acting, the guy, I can't remember, is it Ade doing?
I don't know. Vanessa said it enough times
Ademola
that
Adedoyin.
like the
Like
Candyman.
Ademola, performance, I thought, yeah, it felt right. He had a look, and it's weird because like I don't recall always seeing him feeling that slim. But he did feel right as a teacher. Maybe the afro was a bit
He's
much.
always been that slim. He's never
Oh,
had
really?
body. He's always
Okay.
lanky.
Okay. Maybe it's the shirt, but something, it felt right. Maybe with the exception of the hair. I thought that would have probably made it look even better, but he looked right. And, I think Vanessa is probably right that he doesn't quite have iPhone face like some other people can do. So I thought that worked. But aside him, I thought Chisholm was somebody I thought looked like she was a student. She had the whole look about her. She looked also kind of young. I don't think all of the people there always looked particularly young. Maybe this is Temi. This is more about, I think, Temi than anyone else. But yeah, I thought she really looked young, and she really was giving student of that age bracket. And also Kanaga, I don't think probably looked that age range, but I thought they could all get away with it better than something like a Far From Home, to be honest. So yeah, those are the things that I liked about this. And you know what, like I thought they had some interesting lighting as well in this. I think I liked that here too. All right, let's pivot to all right. Let's keep it Tess. There are many people on here. Let's keep it
Are you trying to
Tess.
sleep on time tonight?
Yes.
Your plan?
Yes, I'm just trying. Let's keep it Tess. All right. Keep it as brief as you can. There are plenty of people who want to speak, who want to get things off their chest. All right, let's go. Vanessa, what did you not like about Ms Kanyin?
Before I begin, I'm pleased to announce that I am on my second to the last strand of loosening my braids. Yeah. So thank you very much. Things I did not like. We quite quickly divulged into some, I don't understand. From the minute the decision was made to go and steal exam papers, that's where they lost me. Because the truth is, and while it might be important to her, the motivation don't make sense. Just point blank period. It don't make a lick of sense. Because number one, which Harvard is going to accept you based off of a WAEC. I understand she mentioned her SATs, but if she was hyperventilating, if these exams that she was hyperventilating over were the SATs, I would be more inclined to understand her reasoning. But it's WAEC. Hello, my dear, it's WAEC. Nobody give a shit. Harvard don't give a shit either. Sorry. It just doesn't make any sense to go to those lengths. Pointless. The French that they were speaking was so, and I don't speak French. I don't, except bonjour et merci. But the point is, the French that they were speaking wasn't even advanced level French where we can even say, oh, okay, kini were important. It don't dey important. And at the minute you're telling me that is the reasoning behind it, especially because this same character had walked up to the principal's chalet to ask permission to drop French. So she still had the option of dropping French. If you are not a criminal and a potential akpayan, why is it that your next line of thought is to go and steal? Why didn't you just go ahead with hello sir, èmi ò fẹ́ ṣe French mọ́ and carry on? But no, you are a killer. You are a badly behaved individual, and that's why your next line of thought was let's go and rob. I just, for me, it didn't hold up if she was already going to go and drop French. But sure. You know what else didn't hold up? Our record-breaking swimmer. Whose record was he breaking? Because nobody else in that school was swimming. Only him. So who again at the record? Who record is he breaking? Is he a national record? I don't believe so. If perhaps it is, we don't have any information that leads us to believe that that is the record that is being broken. You know, the funniest part is him always timing himself with a G-Shock. Guysy, G-Shock Lamfi time Arawa in the swimming pool? Come on. That's not plausible. You know what else is implausible? Miss, I'm going to New York to go and model. Is she an incredibly beautiful young lady? Quite correct. She's incredibly beautiful. For me, these reasonings behind why they went to go and steal. My daddy said, if I don't pass my exam, I'm not going to New York to go and model. No, if you don't pass your exam, your daddy will still make sure you are going to New York. If your daddy gonna let you go to New York, your daddy gonna let you go to New York. Come off it. I just think, and again, I know this might seem like me positioning children's problems as trivial, which that's my main argument when I speak about Nollywood young adult films and series, is that we don't treat young people's problems as consequential, which I appreciate that this did. For me, there's just a disconnect. I don't think these problems were worth killing anybody, but for, you know, even our so-called, because you can argue that the rest of them didn't actually kill her. They went to go and rob. The Kanaga gunslave that let the dog loose. Why? What was his reasoning? Why you don't like Miss Coin? Your daddy sexually assaulted her, guys. Again, another dislike. What was the point of Kepi Ekpeyong in this? Everybody talk about they like saying Kepi Ekpeyong was unnecessary. He could have sat down at that table. You could have sat down at that table, smoked his cigar. I don't see the point of bringing Kepi Ekpeyong to go and sexually assault Miss Coin. You can establish Miss Coin's dissatisfaction with being stuck at this school, with being responsible for these children who treat her with disdain. You can do all of that without that gratuitous sexual assault scene. I think it's completely unnecessary. There were other ways to establish that she already had grouse with the children without that. Again, the concept of this tree of life and spirits being trapped, I guess we needed something to anchor the spiritual powers. I do think if the elders of the village knew that they were supposed to burn down the thing, and if the Baba said the excuse is that somebody buy the land, when they are selling the land, you didn't tell them, Joe, destroy Igi, you can break it down, destroy the roots, but they didn't do that. And I just thought, again, it was just contrived and it was convenient. Speaking of the time periods, and I know I said that Demola Adenuyi's face is perfect for period dramas. I think my problem with Nemsian, and if I had 2 nickels for when, I know I say this now in every space, but Nollywood makes me say it. If I had 2 nickels for every time Nemsia says something is a period, and then the rest of the film, the set design, the language in the script, all of that doesn't match the time period, I would have 2 nickels, and it's not a lot, but it's still weird that it has happened twice. It's the same issue I had with Breath of Life. The time period for that didn't make any sense. It was somewhat retro because we are in the past at some point and then in the future at another point, but we don't know what that future is because we don't know where the past is. And there was a flat screen TV thrown in there somewhere. This is what happens with this film as well. We can even bypass the egregious 2024 journal by saying SFX forgot to change it to 1992 or 1994. But in some of the language that the kids were using, things like word, when the swimmer boy says pain is just something leaving the body, and then Kanaga Junior's character says word. I was but a child in the 90s, but I don't think anybody was saying word in the 90s. I also just think a lot of the things they were saying, a lot of the language and the slang that they were using, while they were Nigerian, they are Nigerian of the present day and not Nigerian of 1992. I also believe that there was no point in setting this in the 90s. Nigerian boarding schools were Nigerian boarding schools till, and still are, I'm sure. Maybe if they don't use iron buckets anymore, perhaps they do. But like when I was growing up in secondary school, sorry, my time is up. People use iron buckets. I just think the time period didn't make sense. And I know some people are going to say anachronisms. It didn't anachronism anything. Whoa, that we're tired.
Right. Thank you. Elizabeth, tell us what did not sit right with you in this
Thank
Miss
you.
Kanyin.
Thank you very much. I'm always very happy to share my dislike with the world. So first, I feel like I don't feel, but this film feels like a fully unrealized narrative. Like I say it all the time, a lot of Nollywood films are like a collection of ideas on post-its. This particular one is superficial and ultimately disposable. I know I said it's a very simple story from point A to point B, and cool watch, afternoon watch, you go to sleep, you're cool. Not really it does nothing, like it's inoffensive, but it does nothing, and that's the problem. Because it's plagued by a lack of, or a lazy lack of attention to detail. I'm not going to go into all the details that it means because again, I don't want to nitpick, I still have a lot to say. But you can see, like Vanessa mentioned, which is it's because we are not sure what year it is. And I don't mind that we're not sure what year it is. In fact, we could have left it to the wind. But it annoys me, not the 2024. What annoys me is that minor but telling error on that WAEC folder. The final number of the 1990, whatever, was missing. It's because maybe at the point they were at, they were not even ready to, they did not even determine the year. Do you know how egregious that is? You've not even determined the year. And after you now did that, you now went to post, you still did not determine it. You were using FX to do 3, FX to flip car, FX to go up and down, to put 7, 2, 3, 1 behind that last 9 was still missing. So I don't know. It's, for me, it signals a fundamental indecisiveness, and it just rubbishes the entire thing. It's too sloppy. And the sloppiness extends to the core identity. So again, this is a straightforward drama. The film is functional in that manner. As a drama, as a straightforward drama, functional. But as a thematic or horror, or whatever category, thriller, whatever it is they were going for, it is categorically a failure. It is not eerie, let alone scary, because it doesn't commit the necessary time or craft to building that palpable sense of dread that you need. This film spends the first 2 acts to establish motivation, and you can see that there is no fluidity to the establishment because, again, post-it notes, this should happen, this should happen, this should happen, this should happen. And that's why it feels as though that, okay, I'll come to that. I don't want to talk about that yet. I'll come to that. So because they don't spend more time, so this film is, and you see how in old Nollywood, this kind of things happen, bunch of kids appear somewhere, they start dying one after the other. It's like they want to recreate that, you want to be reminiscent of that, but without understanding the meticulous setup that made that one work. They might not have had the technology or whatever back then, but they understood the pacing. So this pacing here is too erratic to sustain tension. And so the tone is consequently one of the most significant casualty here. There is nothing in this film's tone that signifies that this is horror, apart from some piano sound here and there. It just does not feel eerie. In fact, for the first 2 acts, if they told you that this was horror, you would not believe. Okay, apart from that cutting head in the beginning, but there was nothing else to point you to the direction of, at some point, it will get really eerie again. That's why it never got eerie, but they put it under horror on Prime. So I don't know what that's supposed to do. So this tonal and then the structural failure is also another thing that leads to the profound emotional disconnect for me. While the death scenes then, they may be visually striking, they are emotionally weightless. It does nothing for me. Like, I was watching it, I was like, because these tiny fuckers, they were supposed to die in the first place, so I really don't care about them or their lives. But the story is just simply isn't compelling enough because it gives me no reason to care about these characters. They are presented already as a collection of shallow, unsympathetic archetypes, all of them. They were just whining. Every single time you say they're just whining, these tiny things were just whining. And so it makes it impossible to root for any of them. Even Chisom self, I like that character, but I just did not connect to her either. I really don't care about your problems, girl. Your daddy is the principal, so what? Get out of my face. Like, Even our designated survivor, Amara, she lacks that discernible redeeming quality. There was no reason why she survived, which makes a survival feel extremely arbitrary rather than earned. It was unearned. Like, okay, for example, take Tioluwanile, for example. Our antagonist, or should we call him protagonist, our anti-hero, whatever he is, he survived. But it was the one that went and sold the land, and when the spirit was killing people one after the other, this guy survived. But here is the thing, you need to have, your character has to be compelling. Like, even if it's your aggressive protagonist can be extremely flawed, but when you build it meticulously, like, you need to build an emotional conduit in which the audience buys in, and there's empathy from so that by the time they survive, we are even rooting for them that they don't die. But this film, by contrast, fails to do that essential work. So, and this lack of connection again is rooted in what feels cowardly to me. It's extremely cowardly the way we write. I checked, the story was by 4 people, is unnecessary. It's unnecessary, folks. I could give you the story, and I'm not compelling either. I could give you the story in 10 seconds. You don't need 4 people for this thing. 4 people, highly unnecessary. Because the underdeveloped writing is not daring enough. It does not give the character depth. Let's talk about Ms Kanyen's own motivation, in particular, because it was critically insufficient. I know that they wrote it in such a way where they already hinted that the staff bully her, the kids bully her. That part about the sex not being necessary is not true. There was something they were hinting at. They just did not execute well. The idea is that she was also always getting layered at by parents. So it's like an immaculate circle of 3 teachers, and it's supposed to establish why she got so bitter. Again, you can see the pieces in the writing, but execution is not there. But because these are fleeting moments, a primary trigger, look at that time that Amara went to her and said, please, ma, let me cheat. And she said, please, ma, let me cheat. And she just she became a bumbling emotional mess. I'm like, Kuleto yen now. You say no and no, no, ni. You can even go and report her. Okay, my time is up. But ultimately, the film is a frustrating experience. It could have been a high concept, whatever, horror, but it just failed. I'm out.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Marshmallows, tell us some things you do not like about Miss Coin.
Sorry,
Marshmallows.
yeah, sorry, I forgot to unmute.
Mhm.
I'll say thank you, Elizabeth, because you were able to maybe put in language to a lot of my emotions about the movie. I think so. Basically, I'm just here to vent, but I won't do too much. I I felt at the end that I ended up wasting my time, and so I was too pissed to actually like sit and feel like, oh, what went wrong and blah blah blah. I watched the movie last night because as a horror movie, I wanted to give it a chance, and it failed to scare me. And in 12 minutes into the movie, I'd already rolled my eyes at least 3 times. So it's only coming to this call, I'm like, okay, how do I, let me express my feelings after watching it. And first is that the scenes were just happening, they weren't coherent. And listening to Elizabeth say that like 4 different people wrote the story, and I think, okay, maybe that's the problem. It's that you could tell like they had a formula of what they wanted to happen. They just had a list of, okay, this and this and this should happen to try to demonstrate motivation by the characters, but it failed to come together. The story just wasn't compelling. Like emotionally, it was empty. And you're just watching things happen and you're like, okay, but so what? And it just didn't answer that question for me. I felt there was a disconnect between the performance the actors were giving and the movie that I watched. So I think, when they were on set, there was an energy or there was something that was communicated to them that failed to translate on scene. And it's not like they were even giving me good acting performances to start with, but I just feel like there was something the director was telling them to get that performance out of them. But even I feel like the movie that they had in their head when they were making it is just not what came out, because yeah, that's I just wasn't convinced about anything that I was seeing on screen. For example, I still have a lot of questions at the end of the movie, like, was Ms Kanyin a ghost or was she possessed? I can't tell. Like, there's something at the end, it's like, oh, she came back to life and she was like, oh, I had a bad dream. Like, oh, was she possessed all this while? Or was it because if she was a ghost, then her kills, even though I still had questions, I was like, okay, maybe it made sense. But if she was possessed, then why did she kill those people? There's that. The movie was smart and stupid at the same time, and I think that's what, like, I just couldn't handle. Like, I couldn't tell you, like, I have an idea where the tree was, but it's like, okay, if it's here, then how come they're able to get to it quickly? Like when Miss Coin was being chased by the dog. So it was just like leaving me with questions. And somebody says, oh, it's deep in the forest. But then by the time they get there, you're like, oh, but there's nothing to show me that this tree is that deep in the forest, because they all seem to be able to go there and come back in no time. The SA scene, I just wanted to call it out to say that, Elizabeth, I guess what you're trying to say, which is that, yes, she's in this situation where, on top of everything she has to go through with the staff and students, even the parents are still, like, abusing her. But it just didn't go anywhere. It was just jarring to me. And, it was very triggering. And as a plot device, they didn't use it to do anything. Like, she wasn't able to take revenge on the Brigadier General, nothing. It just came and it went. And I particularly find fault with any production that just uses devices like that and don't, like, use it to tell a story. It's like when an actor is nude in a scene, for instance. It's like, okay, fine, they're bold enough to be nude, but why? Or what's that leading to? So I had that here where it was just shocking. It came out of nowhere. I was like stunned. But then that was it. Nothing else came out of it. And I can forgive a lot, but that one I don't forgive. Yeah, I'll just leave it there, honestly, and not take too much time. Thanks.
All right. No, thanks, Marshmallows. I don't know if I remember correctly, but maybe I'm mixing up with Vanessa's point, but I thought that was Vanessa's point, that that's also the essay didn't seem like it was used to do anything, but I might be mistaken. But anyway, thank you. Next, Alana, do you want to give us your things you do not like about this going?
Yeah, some things I did not like about Miss Coin. I'm going to be merging some of what Vanessa said with some of what Elizabeth said, because I agree wholly with a lot of their submissions. As regards the tone, first, there really it wasn't giving horror. It wasn't giving. I don't know if it was supposed to be a thriller, although my initial idea of this was it was supposed to be horror, and I'm only now realizing that at no point in this entire movie did I feel horrified. Like, just was. The tone was lacking in horror. There was not enough suspense. The scenes that I know that there were certain scenes that we were supposed to feel some level of suspense, like when Miss Coin came to kill Lamy, I believe, in the toilet. It didn't. I didn't feel anything from it. I don't know if it's if the music or the scores didn't do it, but the horror was not horroring. I wasn't horrified at any point in this. Then the motivations. I'm sorry. Some people had no business being in the house. Yes, even if they had roles to play, they did not need, was it 4, 5 of them at the same time doing that ish. Fiona did not have to be there. I don't know what she was doing there. I think maybe it was only like 3 of them that were necessary. And the masks, I don't know what they did those masks for. That's one of the dumbest shit I've ever seen, because first off, Kanaga and Natse are very tall guys. They are possibly the tallest people in that school. I promise you, those masks were not hiding any identity. If I saw those people walking past in the night and I was in that school, I would think to myself, that must be Finn and Uti. Obviously, for the love of God. What was that flipping KKK mask they had on? It did nothing. It was so useless. And then the what do they call itself? Then the Lamy girl. I'm not sure that the possibility that you're going to fail was strong enough for you to even show up to this thing. You could have failed. It's modeling you are going to do. They don't need you to get C in French or be A in French to go and do modeling in New York. I don't think. What was even Fiona's motivation for being in this place? What was Chisholm's motivation? They just begged you. Are you serious? They just begged you. Like, if they had set up Chisholm's character to be maybe, yes, a teacher's pet, but someone who was mostly maybe unliked, and she did it because she wanted to be liked by her colleagues and by her fellow students, yeah, I could have seen that. But they didn't set her character up like someone that wanted to be liked. So I don't even think it was just, I just want to help my friend. And then the friend that brought everybody here, if they me die, said I again who die. Because what do you mean everybody else died and then she was just leaving? The friend that brought them here wanted to go and drop French. The worst thing that could have happened from her dropping the French was that the principal would not think she was all that, which is really not that bad. That was the worst thing. So it's the entire premise of it is something that could have done without. Then the most ridiculous thing I heard was when the Baba said they were supposed to burn down the tree, and that before they could do that, some other people bought the space and then they just left that tree. They just left the tree. They did not tell whoever bought it that, guys, this thing is a demonic tree. And Kanaga sits down there and is like, one of the earlier scenes we see Kanaga telling the Amara that, see, this tree, they said it's demonic, but it's all bullshit. I don't know what kind of schools we have these days, but I can assure you guys, in my secondary school, someone said that the trees in my school were demonic and were causing people to die. I promise you, not 1 week after, my principal made sure most of those trees were gone. We did not have trees in that school a week after that entire gist. I can never forget. So for somebody in a Nigerian school to just be chilling and be like, oh yeah, there's this tree that they say is evil and it's just there for years and nobody thought to, I don't know, do something about the tree. Like, I don't even know how that tree was just standing there, but it still did not make sense that it just happened to be that they left it there and then Ms Kanyi's character started killing everybody after encountering the tree. Like, I don't even know what was going on with that storyline. So my main issues with this were the motivations were not strong enough. The reason why that tree existed was not strong enough. The tone of this was not given horror, and then the entire setup, because all of this did not merge together, it just did not give what it should have given. And yeah, I like the color grading, but still it did not work for the film eventually. That essay scene, why? It could have done without. She could have actually been just very resentful of, because she could have just been resentful of the kids. It's not like she carried Pankere and went to go and flog Brigadier General eventually. Why did she even use Pankere self in this entire thing? The last thing she said was, I feel like using Pankere to flog these people. So why were you slashing their throats? Why didn't you just bring your kin along and flog them or something? At the very least, it would have made sense for a Miss Coin character that died like that to carry Pankere and flog all these children. Even if you wanted to slash their throats, flog them first, then you slash their throats. Oh, and I didn't like how Kanaga's character died. I don't think he was worthy. I don't think that death was. We didn't even see the death very well. Flung him out. Somebody that set dog on you. I expected him to have the worst death, and his death was just not what I expected him to have. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, all right. Thanks, on. Ndaka, do you want to tell us? Wait, is Ndaka on? Ndaka just left. Okay, we'll probably come back on in a bit. Atas, do you want to tell us what you didn't like about Ms Kanyin? Atas, are you there? All right. Timmy, do you want to tell us what you didn't like about Ms Kanyin?
So yeah, first of all, I did not like the fact that I did not really get the layout of the school was kind of unclear to me because there was a lot of movement around the campus. They were going from their dormitories, they were going to the principal's house, to the chalet, and I really had no idea where these things were like. Okay, this is where is, or this is how far, so and so. From especially that time when what's her name, Amara was in the dorm and she was reading, and boom, before you know it, oh, they're already there. So I don't know. I feel like they could have at least maybe 30 seconds wouldn't have hurt. So maybe like show us how they are, traversing through the place or something like that. Um, the character development, the character work in this was abysmal, in my opinion, because I really did not know who any of these people were. I did not really feel like any of these people were real human beings that could exist. Um, I feel like Temi's character was most interesting when she was, pardon my French, being a bitch. Because when she was, you know, doing girl boss gaslight, I was living for it, but they didn't really do anything with anything really. Um, and about the characters, it was a lot of telling us about these characters. We really never saw what these characters were doing that would make us identify with these characters and be like, oh, okay, this is what this type of character is. It was just, oh, okay, this is what this character is, this is what this character is. A lot of their interactions felt like it was just there to give us exposition on the one note fact that, oh, this is what this character is, this, and I was not, living for it. Amara, as the protagonist, felt like the most underwritten character, because even though I felt like the other characters, like all the characters in general, were poorly written, I still kind of felt like all the other characters had more interesting moments to them compared to Amara, especially considering the fact that Amara is supposed to be this outstanding and brilliant student, but a lot of her character decisions were not given that mental bandwidth. And um it's just I mean, sure, I can understand like a character making stupid decisions. I can understand, or maybe someone being academically smart but not very, I don't know. But it again, I don't know who this character is, so I don't get why she's even making these decisions that she is making. The story beats just happen because they need it to happen for the plot to happen so that they can get to the kill. And I felt like it took way too long to get to the kills. Um, it took way too long to get a sense of where the story was going. When they got to what's her name? When Amara decided that, oh, she was going to steal the question papers, I was like, okay, is that what all the build up was for? Um, the whole WAEC thing, yes, that's the other thing that really I did not understand. The whole keeping the WAEC papers with Ms Coin did not make sense to me because, as far as I know, they keep WAEC papers because it's WAEC. They keep WAEC papers in banks or in police stations, and literally the people who I don't know what you call them, the invigilators, yes, when they are coming with the papers, they'll literally tell you that, they're just going to pick up the papers, or this is that, and it will come with its own padlock and this, there's a whole ceremony about it. but you're telling me that you're now keeping the papers with a teacher, and even the whole WAEC thing did not even feel important. With the way Temi Otadala was like making a whole fuss about it, they were also saying that the WAEC was 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. It was in two. It was in 2 weeks. But while the story was going on, I did not really understand like, oh, how the days were passing to really understand when the WAEC was coming. And I also felt like the fact that she was being very um concerned about her French was confusing because it was her mock exam and it was the Miss Coin that set the mock exam. And if she did all that studying that she says she did, if she like I get it, but it's your WAEC. Like the WAEC, if you know that you're that good in the French naturally, you really shouldn't, feel that kind of fear about writing WAEC, you know. So I think that's pretty much. Oh yeah, another thing I didn't like was how what's her name? I didn't really understand who Miss Coin was. I felt like again, like with the other issues with the rest of the characters, but I felt like her own was the worst because Miss Coin was just reacting to things. Things were just happening to her, and we're just seeing how she was reacting to things. The only time we ever really saw her take action was when she slapped what's that guy's name again in the dining hall. And again, that's not really I wouldn't really call that a character defining moment because it feels like something that should naturally happen at that point because we've not seen this character really do anything and have agency until this point. But yeah, and her fear for the dogs, it felt tacked on. The story itself felt like an afterthought. I felt like it was more about the kills and those fine moments that they were doing with the whole blocking and this and that. I feel like that's what this whole film was about, and the story was just like, haha, let's just put this on. So yeah, I think that's what I have to say.
Okay. All right. Thanks to me. Astor, do you want to tell us what you did not
I
like
thought I was
about this?
back.
I called you since the task. I thought you had disappeared.
Uh, that's funny. Uh,
Oh, to wrote me, you two are back. Okay.
I,
No, but after Otash, you can go, and then we'll go ask, and then we'll go wrote me.
sure. So I did not like this as a whole. It felt more like a caricature of a movie, or of a concept rather. Felt like a caricature of horror. I didn't. Okay, so I did not like anything about this movie, honestly. I listened to you guys' likes and tried to figure out if there are other things that I was just missing, and there isn't really. The settings that everyone loves so much really bothered me the most. I think it took me out of the story more than anything, really. It Everything was irrationally new. And that really bothered me. The newness of everything, especially set in the time period it's in, and it's a boarding school, it's kids. The buildings all looked really new, which is fine in the school, but like the Baba's house, for instance, is a brand new white brick building, and that really bothered me. The uniforms look like they all just came out of packs. The buckets look like they just came out of packet. The dining sets look like they just came out of packet. The board in the teacher staff room was a brand new board and had never been written on and just had posts, what are they called? Like announcement flyers on it. Um, but I don't know, that was irrational for me, but it irrationally bothered me, and it was pretty apparent in everything that was introduced. Um, they should have done a little more, I think, put a little more effort in making things look lived in. What else? The dialogue was personally offensive for me. I think for the time period it was conveying, as well as for the message it's conveying, boarding school in Nigeria. I thought the dialogue was very important. The principal saying Chisom is going to go walk the dog felt very unnatural. Um, that was just one of them. There were multiple, I think, lines of dialogue that were offensive to me. Um, The whole dialogue about the cramps at the pool, like they spent 5 minutes talking about cramps for it to be like ultimately worthless. Adds nothing to the story. I thought they were setting something up. They're not setting anything up. I didn't like it. The VFX bothered me as well. I thought it was poorly done. The scene at the end where the flower is growing out of the tree stump. The scene in the beginning when they first show the forest when the white guy is walking through it. Like I didn't appreciate the effort, honestly. The plan was incredibly stupid. So they set it up, with the voiceovers and the drawing of the padlock. They're doing some Mission Impossible heist. Like, why was she drawing the padlock? I don't even know. Like, it was just incredibly stupid. There was no way these were the top of the class. It just, it wasn't. I didn't like the plan. I didn't feel like any of them needed to be there. I didn't like the motivation for them going to steal, passing French, going to New York. I didn't buy it. Um, the this the decision at the end to then first of all give her dog to the guy who is the meanest to her to hold, whatever, and then he conveniently releases the dog. I didn't like it, didn't buy it. The death from Madame Coin felt forced, didn't like it, didn't buy it. The lore felt forced, didn't like it, didn't buy it. It wasn't properly set up. I thought the other Madame Koi Koi does a lot more to show why the kids that are being killed deserve to die for the most part. And this one is just teenage melodrama. Like this ghost just is getting involved in melodrama. It's essentially what it was because they didn't really do much in this movie that was too bad where I felt like they were villains or didn't. I guess I had no emotional investment in either of the characters either way. Not bad, not good. It took too long to establish the lore and establish the. It spent too much time on the teenage drama, honestly. For the first hour ish, it feels like you're watching Far From Home, but in a village setting. Um, I can go on. Honestly, I just didn't like this. I don't know if that much is obvious. There's nothing really that I like about this. The spirituality was terribly set up. Um, animal blood in the beginning wakes up the tree and then they leave the tree standing. Animals die every day. Like it just bothered me. Everything bothered me. The fact that they say they're going deep in the forest, but the tree is in a clearing that all the students go to often to drink. All of it bothered me. It wasn't horror. The horror of it was maybe like 10 minutes really of the entire 2 hour storyline. And this was supposed to be meat of the story. That's I don't know that I can say much more than that. The story was bad. The plot was bad. I didn't like the characters, but
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Thanks, Atas. All right, Asto, do you wanna give us the things you did not like?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
A lot of people have already pretty much covered it. I hate that Amara ended up like surviving, seeing that she was like the mastermind behind this. I don't know. Like somebody else said, like it didn't feel earned. She just spent the entire thing being fucking awful, and it just ended up surviving because they were able to stop this thing before it came for her. Um, the I can't remember his name, but the boy with like the army general father, I feel like his death should have been worse because again, he's the one like this that set the dog on her and made her just like run off into the forest, but then he just gets tossed out of the building, which I don't know. I kind of found funny. I don't know if it's because I hated the character, but like I feel like his death should have been worse. Also, I hate that like two of the deaths kind of involved throat slitting. I don't know. I feel like the boy in the pool, he was standing in the shallow end of the pool, and then a lot of stuff just happens, and then there's like blood everywhere, and then just gets shot out of the pool like he came out of the cannon. I don't know. The VFX was rough, but then again, it's like it's Nollywood, so I don't know. Like I thought it was decent. Like the car flipping was cool. Um, I know that they were trying to do like a thing with Miss Kanyi's heels and like the sound going just clacking all over the place, but then it got to the point where we're family walking through the woods and the heels are still clacking and she's walking on soil and I'm just like, let's calm down, please. Um, the attention to detail was rough in a couple of places, and their dialogue, like whoever wrote the dialogue, like did not pay attention to the time period at all. Like they just kept on talking like modern day people, and I'm just like, okay, fine. Somebody talked about how they obviously had like a list of beats that they wanted to hit, like probably like a list of shots and like a list of things that they wanted to do. For example, the scene where the deaths have become public knowledge and like parents are calling the school to find out if their kids are okay. There is one receptionist answering 4 phones. What the hell is she surrounded by 4 phones? I know the scene they were trying to do where it's like, oh hi, oh we're overwhelmed, and we're telling all the parents that kids are fine, but like, why does she have 4 phones? Like, what are we doing there? Also, my final thing is just like the inciting incident takes too long to happen. I think people have already like called this out, so like they just kind of speed through the horror of it all, which isn't like a lot. So the movie just feels more like a teen drama than horror, which isn't bad, but like it was marketed as horror, so it's like Far From Home, and then like Miss Koiko just like has a cameo at the end. I don't know, but yeah, that's it for me.
All right, thanks, Asta. Rotimi, do you want to tell us some things you didn't like?
Yeah, the most, it's kind of funny for a film that that was kind of, that's done as a period piece. Then you have like a detail, like when Amara opens her notepad and you have the dates like 2024 like, it's kind of funny for me because you're actually taking specifically, like, you have that shot, you know you're going to use that notepad. So you get a notepad that says 2024. Now, I can forgive it happening on set. And yet, why I don't understand, why I don't get is like how in post and review that nobody caught that there's a 2024 on this notepad that's supposed to be sometime in the 90s. That one's like, I don't know how that flew. That's almost like so glaring. Then the part like this thing, Ms Kanyin and Musti come back from their dates. I was like, okay, they have got Mr. C back on his mic watch again, because the boom mic you can like is sipping into the shots, which I'm still again like, I don't know how you missed that, how you don't catch that. If like how many views and nobody catches that local, the boom mic is slipping into the shots. So with all the details, everything with the budget, the school, I'm like, but there are small details that I'm like, I don't know how they slipped through. Then the thing that I'm like what everybody has been saying in terms of the writing and characters. So that part that I said about beginning about the hybrid between a Nigerian school and a teenage horror flick, everything. The part that is causing now everybody from the characters to the writing and the motivations, it's in that teenage horror flick, which is kind of like, I think what Timmy was saying about like, it's almost things are happening so that we can hit these points. We know, oh, this genre. I appreciate it, but it's almost like, so that now comes out like, there's a gem of an idea. Want to do a horror film, and it's going to be in a secondary school, or want to use the myth of Madame Koi Koi. Okay, we're going to hit these beats. Oh, this guy is going to be the jock. This guy is going to be the cool friend that she's no longer with her friend. So you recognize those beats. So now, are those characters? But it's not like, that fusion now means like the characters themselves have little or no real depth and motivation as themselves within a Nigerian context. So the thing that's now doing is like the Ms Kanyin herself. It's almost like it's there, but it's not really, it doesn't really come out. When the, Amara tells her that like, you're just going to die in Nigeria and everything. So my mind is like, if this is a theme about how teachers are left behind, how students, they're underappreciated, they're underpaid, then this whole thing, Amara was like, oh, the reason why we thought they wanted to cut your department. So I'm like, oh, that is something there, but it's not, because we're doing this horror flick and we're doing this whole teenage drama, we just know we're in this ballpark. So we're just hitting off beats. Now, the hybrid works, but it doesn't also work, because now your characters, why are they are doing these things? Because like, okay, look at this weird thing at the shop at the robbery, which funny thing, the robbery reminds me of there's this old movie, I can't remember what year it came out, but it's Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Perfect Score, where some students go and try and rob, to go and steal the SAT, answers and everything. So I was like, this part reminds me of that film. So you come and they are wearing these weird masks, they go and make this mask, this white mask. The masks are laughable though for me. I'm like, then Tolu, Tolu George, comes with the dog and she's like barefaced. So I'm like, so if somebody sees you going towards Ms Kanyin's house, barefaced and everything, so how do you, these people are wearing this white mask and they're wearing white mask at night. So anyhow, even like people don't identify, it's going to stick out like, who are these people wearing white mask at night? So it's those weird, oh, we're doing a heist, okay, people put on mask. So just details like that, everything. But like, okay, yeah, that's basically it.
Hey, the options 5.5 did not sit well with Rotimi. All right. Stephanie, please tell us what you did not like about Ms Kanyin.
Okay. What I did not like about Ms Kanyin was, I think white people should be reduced in Nollywood, first of all. The beginning they could have used literally anybody and it wouldn't have changed anything. So I don't understand why they had to have a white person, first of all. And another thing is, there's something they do a lot in Nollywood, that this whole Japa thing. I understand that is the reality of most Nigerians too, but there's another side of people that are still in the country, and I don't know, this whole thing of, I feel like for a secondary school story, I don't think we should be focusing on, like, especially Madam Koi Koi movie, we shouldn't be focusing about leaving the country. There are so many other smaller stories that we could have focused on that would have been more intimate and would have resonated a lot with everyone. So you talking about Harvard, I feel like there's already a disconnect there. So we're already not connecting to you, first of all. So I feel like that part, I feel like they should reduce how much they're trying to always talk about leaving the country, being a model. Like, I don't know, that just seems so weird to me. Of course, I didn't get anybody's motivations. Like, it just did not make sense. It could have been better if we had known how close Amara and Chisom were before they fell out. How did Amara become friends with these new people? Like, that could have been something that would have made us feel connected to these characters. Other than that, also there were too many main characters. Just too many of them. Like, a lot of them did not need to be there because it really did not add anything to the story. Also for Ms. Kanyin, I wish maybe a flashback or something about her experience before coming to the school. How did she become scared of dogs? Like, again, I feel like motivation, like backstory is very important for us to be connected to characters. If you don't have that, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I'm watching. So to me, those were the things I did not like about Ms. Kanyin.
All right, thanks, Stephanie. Just going to read Lucas bad. My internet is bad. Here's what I don't like. The characters were not likable, which is not bad, but one gotta be good for us to root for, especially the final girl. The horror did not horror well because the film gets too distracted with being a teen drama. Okay. Thanks, Luca. Mrs. C, just before I read your stuff, I'm just going to read some people. Before you read my stuff? Sorry, before I give mic to you. You said, not let some things like. Sorry, I was just checking whether I said something I was not aware of. Alright, so some of the people that did not like this is what they said. Richard said, both versions of this story really misunderstood the fundamental concept. Koi Koi derives from the sharp, disembodied clack of heels against the concrete floor. Netflix had her wearing block heels clumping around in the bush. This one's barely heels were softly tapping around. Adeyemi says, why do I have to wait for almost 60 minutes before the film comes alive? The killings were hasty and feels rushed, and that and that killed the surprise kills. The relationship between the principal and his daughter should have been more, anymore. Yeah, Snack Susan said, my dislikes, this movie has a deep lack of logic in the storytelling, emphasizes spectacle over story, and as usual, they gave us the raw materials / ingredients for a horror movie and said, make it yourself. Abi, we don't try for now. Alright, and there's a lot from Saxon actually, but let's read us. Let's discuss ours first. Alright, Miss C, go ahead.
Okay, so I feel like enough has been said, but
Clearly not.
okay. All right. So, what did I not like about this film? I feel like I could try to explain away a lot of the stupidity of the decisions with, and they no get sense now. Small picking, they worry them. But I couldn't get behind the motivation. I couldn't get behind the motivation of them being in that house to steal white papers for French. They're using Temi's French, right? They use a French incitation. They had her speaking small French here. The girl can speak French. If she's an A student in everything else, if she's not passing French, she's not studying. As simple as I got A in French. I could not speak French. I still managed to get A. So the French thing, I'm not going to be so hung up on, oh my God, she needs to pass French to get into Harvard. And then, don't drop French. You think my father would write you a glowing recommendation if you're taking the easy way out? But also conditional offer from Harvard based on your existing performance. So clearly, daddy principal's recommendation don't mean shit. Drop French and move on with your life. But no, gratuitous sexual assault, special shout out. I thought maybe they were going to go the Netflix way of Miss Koi Koi and, make the sexual assault part of her transformation, I guess. But no, we're just grabbing Hanyansh because reasons. Okay, sure. Of course. That's BAU for visiting day, I'm assuming.
BAU for Nollywood.
BAU for Nollywood. I felt, okay, then on to the actual 10 minutes of slasher murder in quote horror. I don't understand what is driving the vengeful spirit of Ms Kanyin. I don't understand it. I'm going to be comparing to Netflix Miss Koi Koi because that's the one, that's my frame of reference, right? For Miss Koi Koi. And I'm saying this in terms of like visual media or whatever. And also, I know everybody hated part 2 and I know part 2 kind of went to shit. But I knew why Miss Koi Koi was killing the people she was killing in the Netflix version, right? She died as a result of sexual assault. Vengeful spirit. She was killing everybody who was trying to do sexual assaults. Works. Okay, cool. A homegirl died being chased by a dog. The only person she saw was Fee. She killed the dog first. Cool. Sounds about right because she don't like dogs. And honestly, if they say it's vengeful spirit, I think she just kill all the dogs in the community and kind of get on with it. But no, we're killing all these kids. And I'm like, how does she know these people were there? The only person she saw was Fee. But okay, she's a spirit, sure. We're gonna go with that. But again, I didn't understand the spirit. Amara, as a character, no fucking clue who this girl was. No clue. What's her name? Chisom says, the Amara I knew would, do anything to protect a stranger. The same Chisom says, your friends might think you're so perfect, but I know the things you've done. Amara says, and break school rules? When Lami asked her to go to the bush with her to go and meet the boy them. And break school rules? Have you forgotten I'm a prefect? The same Amara, ma, help me cheat. can't help you cheat. You dumb bitch, you're gonna die alone in this country and you're never gonna go to Paris. Let's break into her house and steal the French papers from her oven. Guys, I need to steal the French papers to go to Harvard. You told me that if I took French, it was going to be super easy to get into Harvard. Oh my God, who is Amara?
Amara is whoever.
Amara is whoever the plot needs her to be at any specific point in time. Chisom, again, you too, why? I don't know. Again, I don't get it. And someone said, how many people needed to be there, right? Uyi is like, apparently just breaking the record is not enough. I need to pass my work. No shit, Uyi. No shit. And you know what? Yeah, someone said we don't even know how much time they have between their mock and their WAEC. It's like none of them knew they had WAEC to write before their mock results came out. None of them were aware WAEC was coming in SS3 and they were actually going to at least need to pass it to get through. I don't know, man. And then the show sweet désolé before setting the tree on fire. I cackled. I actually cackled. That sent me. And just as a side note, I'm just trying to think. Nollywood has been consistently giving me lead characters that I want dead. Amara wanted her to die. It was actually just awful that not only did she survive, the only person who actually let the dog out was killed off screen. Just fell out a window. So unsatisfactory. The only person that the vengeful spirit had proof was there. So, set the dog on her. Off-screen kill. Okay, cool. I guess. Sure. But Amara's alive. Oh, what did we discuss last week? I'm pretty sure I wanted that Liz did.
Yeah. It wasn't a film we watched. It's a film we watched in the cinema. That's why.
Yeah. No, I know that one. Yeah, but I think we're talking about something else, and we're talking about just giving us leads that are not. I don't know. We're struggling with writing our leads, and I can't be watching an in quote horror film and wanting your final girl dead. It just. I need. I don't know. Just make a choice. Are we writing people that deserve to be killed? Or are we going Final Destination style of, well, tough. They just happen to be, and then let people just die, right? I don't know what we're doing, because why is the principal getting marked? But Chisom is fine. And Amara doesn't die. She just tried to kill Amara. She just fails, but she never wants to kill Chisom. Chisom drew her padlock, for crying out loud. I guess the spirit world did not tell her that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think a lot of people have done a lot of the things, but like Missy, we shall still find more. At least I'll give my own angle / spin on things. Okay, so first off, can I say all the people who are saying Mr. C should review return to find the mic, the Find the Mic series were for very difficult things where you guys didn't notice it, and I was able to see boom mics, and that was an interesting homework for me. It doesn't work when everybody is seeing it, and you guys are all telling me find the boom mic. You've seen it already. There's no need to find it. It's very obvious. It's very much there. So, and that's one thing that I think I usually wouldn't add, but like, it was just, it was bad enough that other people were messaging me about it, clearly. So there's that. I still found the kills in this boring, and very unsatisfactory. Except, like I said, the one in the toilet. But like, I thought that would have been fine for a first kill. You know, usually you ramp it up. You know, like the first one is, sometimes you can even do that little off screen if you want, Seth, and just show how that looks, the body, and you just ramp it up. This thing film doesn't have a sense of pacing and scale and tempo or rhythm. It's just doing, because, you know, we start off with an actual beheading by rodents, by a spirit rodent. But anyway, I think the biggest issue with this for me are just the characters and the relationships. I think some people are saying that this works much better as a sort of teen drama, and that's where much of the likes have come in. And I didn't feel any of that for me, because the relationships in all of this film is just, they're all terrible or underdeveloped. They're not even written properly. I think Mrs. C did a good job of talking about how Amara is just one thing and then the other. And that Amara and Chisholm's relationship, we only know about it in short, really random, bad exposition. You of that year, you wouldn't be doing this. And it's like, okay, that doesn't feel like the person I've been looking at. Then the relationship between principal and the daughter underdeveloped. The relationship between Ms Kanyin and Mr. Mustapha, that's the one that should have done something. That's the one they really should have used to do something. And it just falls flat, because you see Mr. Mustapha, somebody who has clearly been interested in Ms Kanyin, following her up and down, that kind of thing, and then she goes missing and he seems distraught by her and, goes looking after her. And then, after all of this, the first time he sees her, it's like nothing. It's like, I need to kill this. It's like, I need to kill this babe right now. It's like, yo, you're not even gonna, to be honest, like, at this point, he's not even like, sure, I don't even know he knows she's dead at this point. I don't think he knows that for sure. There's nothing about, oh my God, the person who I've been so, like, no feeling at all. Like, what's the point of setting all that relationship, all that this thing? Because, like, based on his reaction, she might as well have been a nobody. Like, they might as well not have met the way that happened. That could have been a really hard thing for him to do. It could have been an emotional moment. It could have been something interesting they did with the story. But again, just absolutely falls flat, because it doesn't feel like everybody involved knows. It feels like different people are working on different parts and different scenes. The person who decided it was a period piece did not tell them which diary to use, that kind of thing. And, like, that diary thing came about, and, like, I'm not usually someone to care about, even though this one's quite bad. I'm not usually somebody to care about, props that are just off by that bit. But this movie is just filled with little things like that, where they're trying to fix things after. It feels like all the departments are not talking to each other. There's one time where Ms Kanyin scolds a kid about wearing earring, and I don't think the boy is wearing the earring, because the shots they do to show you the earring, they make sure to show you on the side that we're not seeing, and it breaks the 180 line or something. But, like, it's such an awkward edit. And it's the way it's shown, it's almost like so that you don't see anything else. And just it just feels like such an awkward shot. And then you never see the earring again on the body. So I don't know, like, this film just felt like quite the mess, especially in the script. Mrs. C has spoken about, like, and the unlikable protagonist. The whole world just doesn't work for me. Miss Koi Koi, when she becomes Miss Koi Koi, does anybody know what Miss Koi Koi is? Like, somebody talk about, like, ghost versus possessed person. Like, we can see she can levitate and all of that, but she's also struggling with a door being held by a little child. What are we doing with this character? She's getting shot. I know, like, she comes back later, but she's falling down on the ground after being shot at. This baby is this baby is spraying, is using shell tox and Lysa to keep her at bay. Something that would not even, just somebody who's just a little sharp can sidestep this kind of thing. Miss Koi Koi is just being completely held down. Like, oh, fire, what do I do? I couldn't possibly run around. That all that levitating I've been doing, I guess I can't do. I'm just not sure what they haven't. The funny thing is, like, when you're writing all these kind of things, you should, even though you don't tell the audience the rules about whatever your character or whatever your spiritual, you need to know them yourself. You need to set them up yourself so it makes sense to you. Because, like, if not, what you get is just what feels like randomness. And there's no part of this that ever really felt like it took off for me. I didn't, from the very moment, one of the girls threw slippers and it hit the alarm clock, I was like, oh no. Oh no. I don't think this is going to be good. I think this is going to be good. Anyway, but yeah, those are my main things that I do not like. There's going to have a pushback section. I'm going to kick it off with, people who believe that this film is better than the Netflix one. I don't know what you're looking at. I'm sorry. Somebody said is recency bias. I don't even know how recency bias can do this. I know that part two was bad, but the part, at least something got off the ground a little bit for the first one. This one is just always bad. It's just always bad. I forgot to mention in my bad, the acting in this is generally bad. Like, a lot of people are not good. The dialogue is piss poor. People are just doing exposition, just scratching exposition here and there. Like, I don't know what part of this can possibly be seen as better than the Netflix version, except the ending, maybe. And that's only because the Netflix version had a higher place to fall from. Also, I know, like, some people are just mentioning things that were in this. Some people were mentioning, oh, I like that her name was Ms Kanyin. Like, okay, her name kind of sounds like the sound it makes. So they still did the thing with the heels. It's not like they replace it. It's not like they say, oh no, this is the reason why this person ends up as Miss Koi Koi. It's basically the heels and also her name. Isn't that a bit too much? Like, do we need to have both? Well, what are we trying to explain? What are we explaining then? Yeah, I don't know. That didn't work for me at all. Anyway, that's my pushback. If anybody else has any other pushback, now is the time. No other pushback? Alright. Shall we? Okay. Uchenna, go ahead. Can other people hear Uchenna? I can't hear.
I can't hear Uchenna either.
Oh, okay. Uchenna, if you can hear us, try going off and coming back on. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you already said it, but I'll also agree that I don't understand people who say that this is better than the Netflix version. The Netflix version, for all its flaws, if nothing else, it was able to some degree to build a foreboding tone and atmosphere. And this one is lit like a sitcom. I mean, I don't understand people who are saying that the visuals are good. Yeah, they're clear, but is it supposed to be clear in a movie like this? It just looks like it looks like I don't know what kind of movie it's trying to be. But the other pushbacks I would say, I think somebody said earlier that They don't think it is appropriate for somebody to have said word in this. And I've seen other people say that on Twitter. And as the designated geezer, I'm going to say it is completely realistic. I mean, back in the 90s, people were listening to Belle Biv DeVoe and New Edition and all this other stuff. And saying word was quite commonplace, especially amongst the kind of students we see in this school. So I don't know. And the millennials always act as if Nigerian youths discovered hip hop in 2010, and that's just not the case. So there's that. The other thing I want to say is, I think, was it Elizabeth? Or no, I don't think it was somebody else who said that they felt. I mean, that who was very offended by the omission of the last digit on the year. I actually felt that was the cleverest thing in the movie. I actually commended them for that at first, you know. It kind of reminds me of that show, The Goldbergs, that is set in the 1990s, but they don't tell you what year. It's like all the 90s happening at the same time. You know, there are some elements of it that are from the early 90s. There's some elements that are from the late 90s, and it just wants to create a general 90s nostalgia. And I felt that's what this movie wanted to do, you know, because they're trying to appeal to the nostalgia of people who grew up in the 90s. And it could be whether you grew up in 1992 or whether you were in school in 1998. And I thought that it was quite clever that they were not too specific with the year, although, as we all know, they really messed up the year thing in other places. So I disagree with that being such a terrible thing and such a failure on the part of the movie. I thought it was one of the few interesting things the movie did. That's it.
Yeah, I just wouldn't give, it's just difficult to give credit for something like that when they're breaking it in others. It's just easier. I feel like Occam's razor is that's probably a mistake rather than a clever device, but who knows? All right, Alana, what do you want to say?
I just wanted to agree with your pushback regarding the Netflix Madame Coin Coin movie being better than this as regards tone and the setup and the characters. Like this movie, the characters gave nothing. Like you don't really feel anything. You don't even feel mad at the characters. It's the Netflix version. They gave us a character to absolutely hate. I've forgotten his name now, but Joseph's character was such an unlikable character that it made you want to just you were looking forward to him dying. So just because they were able to set up characters like that, characters that were worthy of death, it gave it a better setup or a better it made for a better watch than what we got with this other movie. And honestly, if that sequel never existed, if it had just ended in that part one, we would not even be having a conversation where where we were saying this is better than that, because that one had more of tone and had more characters that were fleshed out. We had the I think what's her name? I've forgotten her name, but the character that they sexually assaulted. Oh yeah, the sexual assault here was actually, you know, you could see how it was relevant to the story here as opposed to the one in Ms Coin also. So we had that character that we could feel bad for, that we wanted to see her get justice. So their character layout and their the tone of that for that Netflix Madam Coin Coin was actually better. I agree with that.
Thank Nduka.
Sorry, I've been having like terrible network all day. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I want to agree that Netflix Koi Koi was better, but I now remember that in Netflix Miss Koi Koi, we did not see any of the deaths. I can't even remember how that character we hated died. All the deaths were forgettable in a horror film, so no. I also remember from that Netflix film that the characters that did die were not even characters that were related to the movie Gone. And Miss Koi Koi did not actually haunt the school at all. So okay, up until the end, really. So I understand that. I agree that the tone for the Netflix own was a bit. The tone, like you can tell. Like I remember Netflix they intended to make a horror film, but this one feels talking about the Prime Video or Ms Kanyin feels very teen drama, very 90210 ish, and that takes away from the tone of the horror film instead. And that's what really makes, and that's one of the things, not what really makes, one of the things that brings this one down. But I still don't believe that the Netflix own is better just because it sets up the tone, but it does nothing with it. I don't even remember how those characters died in the Netflix own. Like they did not show them die.
Ah, okay. I didn't think this one even set up tune. So even though at least you give that one credit for setting up tune. Yeah, it's difficult to, it's difficult to sort of argue for that Netflix film because of the Netflix version because of how far it crashed. But I can't understand arguing for this one, to be honest, at all. I think one of the problems with the Netflix version was that it went way too far into trying to justify the law of Ms. Koiko, but it had something there at least. There was something there. It overreached there. This one doesn't even feel like it understood the law it wanted to give. Like Mrs. C talked about, like in terms of what the revenge, like do they just keep, even when I guess after blood spills on it, do you just keep on being possessed forever? It's like the what happened to the bushmeat that they hey, anyway, possessed bushmeat. All right. I think Rotimi's hand was up and then attacked.
Yeah. Well, funny thing, Nduka kind of like said what I wanted to say. The only thing I'm going to say, but I was going to push back on you, but you have come to the place where I was. The only thing I'm going to say, I would take this slightly over the Netflix one, just in terms of plot structure. Because I think that if you remember, when it ended part one of that Netflix one, the Netflix Madam Koiko, when it got to part two, that's when we go into the history of the tree. Not just that the history of the tree, how the tree became evil, then the people that raped the Madam Koiko, the original teacher, how those ones were caused. They had to do this thing, a ritual. They had to leave the town. Then the descendant of one of those people that raped her is the one that came back, which was that main girl. So it was very, understand, it went very convoluted into one forest. The only thing why this one is like, for me, is just that I know what is supposed, or I think what I think is supposed to be, something to be a teenage or slasher flick. And that's the thing when you talk about the law of Madame Koikoi. I think that's the thing. Apart from the shoes, I don't really know what else is the law of Madame Koikoi. Madame Koikoi kind of like Amaka. She can be whatever we need it to be. We just said that we're going to put her in a horror genre film. And so she can levitate, she can slash, she can resurrect after she gets shot by bullets. That's the part where I'm saying, like, the Hollywood part is that this thing is just one kind of, it feels like the character from Evil Dead, like the last Evil Dead, like she's an evil spirit that resurrected from the dead. She can be anything. That is where we're going. But now we fuse it with the Nigerian secondary school. So is that fusion? So I'm not like, how it plays out now in terms of characters is what everybody's complaining about. But in terms of as a film compared to the other Madam Koiko, I think this is a better iteration, even though it also has its own flaws. But it's almost like I would say this is an improvement on that one just because of structure. Not because, and I know the structure still has problem, the characters still have problem, but it's still a better structure than that one. That's for me, Sha.
Yeah, hard disagree, but okay. Atas.
Yeah, my pushback was gonna be on that. That this one is better than the last one is insane to me. Like Mrs. C said, the first part of that one holds its own considerably more than even the first and second half of this one, plus both of them combined. You kind of understand and you're able to get some understanding of the characters a lot better in the first one. I think the lore also holds up better in the first one. The lore for this one, especially when tying it into Madame Koi Koi as a whole, as an already existing lore, it just doesn't hold up because It seems like in this movie, this is the creation of Madame Koi Koi in a sense, but it's like the creation and the destruction in one movie. It's more so tied to the tree. The tree is the lore, I think, not Madame Koi Koi. Madame Koi Koi, Madame Kanyin, whatever her name is, she's just an iteration of the tree. I don't think the lore is even properly structured or fleshed out in this one. It just feels like, again, a caricature, really.
Yep, agreed. Marshmallows?
Yeah, Ditto. Um, this story, this Madame Koi Koi story, is worse than the Netflix version for a lot of the reasons that everybody has already mentioned. I just wanted to lend my voice to that because I remember that some of my harshest criticism for the Netflix Madam Koi was that a lot of the deaths happened off camera, and so we didn't have the satisfaction of witnessing that the deaths of some of these characters. And though the deaths in these ones happen on camera, let's be real. I think part of my pushback too was for someone, I don't remember who, but when we were talking about the positives, who talked about how they really liked the death of Uti, who was swimming in the pool, and somehow I don't want to get into it, but even the deaths that happen here are very questionable. So yeah, and then of course, the fact that the first they had more of they used their plot devices in the other one better to tell the story than this one. This one was just they just threw it was basically DIY Nollywood, like just give us all the ingredients and it's like, yeah, go figure. So yeah, also just to say that it's not like saying that this is for me, this is worse. I won't say that one was better either. I just want to use the language because I remember how I felt when I watched that one, right? And I had a lot of criticisms about that one. But this one is just far worse than that other one. So that's not saying that it doesn't mean that that one was just a much better viewing experience or whatever. No, that had its issues, a lot of them, but this one is just worse. And maybe if you say it like that, it's easier to digest than to say that that other one was better. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marshmallows. I think Stephanie, you had your hand up.
I have to disagree with you. I think this one was better than the Netflix one. For the lore, I felt like the Netflix one. First of all, I don't even think Madame Koi Koi needs like a lore on her own. Like, I feel like revenge is just enough. So all that lore and backstory, first of all, is not needed. So that's my strongest point. This one, and I don't, not like I even like this one like that, but at least it was shorter than the other one. So that's where my preference for this one comes in. They were both bad at the end of the day. Bye.
All right. I mean, all you've described is length. This one was just, I think my issue with this one is bad, just not done well. It's difficult. Revenge being enough is cool, but like Mrs. C said, if this was just about revenge, maybe a dog and one person would be the only person she had on her kill list. And also, that's not even all that scary, to be honest. I kind of liked how in the first one, the school is sort of discovering in real, as we are discovering, sort of how, because from the school's perspective, and that's one thing the first one actually does really well, is that the world building in that school, I felt like, yes, I'm in a secluded world, that felt real. Because, when the school were finding, people, this, sort of dying, it meant something. Supreme Mother or whatever was trying to like hide things. Like it had consequences. Things were of consequence, right? This is just yeah. There's nothing. There's just nothing going on here, to be honest, and that's why I'm surprised. But it is what it is. People are allowed to be wrong. Elizabeth.
Okay, so just pushback. I think I have three. The first pushback is, Uchenna mentioned that the year thing would have been cool. I did buy the anachronism that they were going for in Breath of Life. This is not buyable simply because first, we saw 2024 and there was a time on the paper was 1991 written. So this is more like an unforced error. Again, what I was even complaining about is they had not decided what year to set this in. If everything was, unsure, if they had blanked out every single time so 1990 something and left it to our imagination. In fact, if they had not even put anything, I think we would have just bought it. But this particular one, they were just not sure. And they left it like, my own is, why did they leave it like that in post? When even you were not sure, you now left it. Anyways, that's by the way. Then the second one is, I think it was Timmy that mentioned that they used to carry WAEC inside the box and lock it. This was 1990 something. And that school was inside the bush, which was like almost all the southwestern schools. They were always inside the bush. Somebody would have driven down to that school earlier from where to drop all their paper there. I think the third one is for the sexual assault scene. A couple of people, more than a couple of people have mentioned about how it was gratuitous. And honestly, even when I was watching it, I didn't even think anything about it until I heard that on the call. And which, I think is very valid. I just think that also if we were to say, oh, it was gratuitous, then every single thing in this film was gratuitous. Because it just sounds like, our sensibilities are getting really fragile. I think it was, because they did nothing with it. The point is they did nothing with it. It was to say that all these forces are conspiring against Ms Kanyin. That's why she's bitter and she's not a vengeful spirit. Of course, the execution was wrong. Execution did not even make sense. But if it's by that one, then even the Kanagas yelling at her because again, the way she did that one off screen didn't make sense. If it's by that one too, the teachers, she didn't kill any of the teachers. So it means that basically everything here didn't make sense. I'm just saying, I'm not saying, like, far be it from me. Please don't put anything sexual assault in your film. But I just feel like, it says a lot about sensibilities, a little bit fragile, and which is also fine.
I'm the one who made the comment, and I don't think it's necessarily about my sensibilities because you did say why it's gratuitous, and I agree with you wholly. And the entirety of this film is gratuitous. However, the reason why this is especially what's the word I'm looking for? I think if again, like you said, they didn't do anything with it, which is why it doesn't make sense to have it. And if the purpose for that scene was so that Kanaga's character could say, oh yeah, next time you say something to me, I'm going to call my dad to handle you. It's just stupid. It's completely stupid. There is no reasoning behind it. And so it was completely unnecessary. There were other ways to have his father and her interact to the point where she feels, to a large extent, shaken by him where it wasn't sexual assault. And what I'm saying is so many other choices could have been made to garner the same effect or probably one that was more impactful. And sexual assault didn't have to be it, is all I'm saying.
I think both of you are saying almost the same thing, but like from different angles. Because like I think, yeah, even I'd use the language of Vanessa in terms of gratuitous. I think Elizabeth saying that it wasn't executed properly is why it feels gratuitous. Because if you don't execute something properly, then someone will not see the point in the thing you try to do. And I think that's sort of what and that's how it gets the tag of gratuitous. So I think it's different ways of saying the same thing, for me anyway. Anyway, any other pushback? All right, cool. Let's do our summary. Vanessa.
Sure. I think this was unsuccessful as a horror slash slasher slash whatever this was, and I think it speaks to a wider problem with Nollywood and a lack of identifying what kind of film we were making and sticking to that kind of film. Because the insistence on the first and second act made this very much a teenage drama versus a slasher. The lore made no sense. A lot of it felt contrived and convenient, and so none of it had any real gravitas to it, and nothing meant anything, and so the entirety of the film just felt like pointless. Yeah, but it's very good to help you losing 1 million braids. It's good to help you lose 1 million braids. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Vanessa. Elizabeth, do you want to give us your summary?
Yes, I want to give you my summary. So ultimately, I watched this from point A to B. I was like, this story could have been on YouTube. I would have watched it. It would be one of those my other watching on YouTube. And like, I mean, I just felt like a lot of the production was wasted on the level of story that was written. But it's just, if it's for your afternoon watch, you can watch. I mean, they want to do high concept teenage horror, and they ended up doing high concept teenage drama for the most part. So there's no emotional depth, nothing to it. And it also mistakes shocking events for genuine stakes, which is why we're having this conversation about gratuitous actions. There was no stake there, and which makes me feel more indifferent about this. So sorry for this genre. It's not a horror. It's not thrilling. It's not suspenseful. It's just drama and with a little bit of gore here and there. Watch it if you're bored.
Nice. All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Marshmallows.
Um, so my summary is nothing was there. There's no depth, there's no emotion. It's just there. Personally, for me, I was watching it and thinking, are they serious? Are they kidding me? So it's there's a lot of waste. A lot of the I feel like they could have told the story with even much less people, and so maybe it would have been cheaper for them. Um, it it baffles me that yet again we're not able to tell stories of boarding school or teenage life in Nigeria, which is like I don't understand because all adults in Nigeria went through that phase and we all have different versions, but at the end of the day a lot of similarity. Like bringing in Harvard into this was just so unnecessary. Honestly, it really was. Like you could have told this story with Covenant University or Unilag or anything else. So to me, a lot of it was unnecessary. A lot of it was wasteful because in the end, nothing was there. It just didn't go anywhere for me. So yeah, that's unfortunate.
All right. Thanks, Marshmallows. Alan, do you want to tell us what your summary was?
Yeah. This was a decent watch, but it left me feeling nothing. I didn't feel bad for anybody. I didn't feel good for anybody. I didn't feel horrified at any point in this. But it was nice for nostalgia. It was nice. The setting was nice and the location was nice. And perhaps with another story, that set would be so good and the use of the costuming would be very good with another story. And yeah, there was no need to set this in 1994. They could have just put this in 2024 and the story would have still been valid. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, it could have still worked with 2024 or 2004 even, and it would have there would have been less gaps, I suppose. But yeah, it's a decent watch, but we again have a story that lacks soul. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Alan. Now, Anuka, you've okay. Who's the Otas?
Hi. What's my summary? I mean, I would like to apologize to Lady Koi Koi, Mrs. Koi Koi, however she prefers to be addressed. They're not taking you They're not taking you seriously, honestly. They're not taking your story seriously. They're not taking your lore seriously. Just disrespect everywhere. Um, when you do start haunting people, please remember I took up for you because this movie was, I didn't even know that I would call it an attempt at the lore. It tried to tell something. I don't know what it was, but it didn't tell it well. Um, I don't think I can say I did not like this enough. Um, Unfortunately, for some reason, it offends me even more than what Netflix ended up doing. Uh, But anyways, hopefully the next. I just want to ask that we live in our sets. I understand everything is new at some point, but I think that set and the um items used in it, the props, could have used a little more being lived in to sell the story it was selling. I think that to me was the most offensive part of it. Uh, on a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, if you're bored, turn off your TV, listen to gospel music. Don't watch this. I don't have a summary. It's nothing to add.
Oh no, bastardizing income summary for this. That's not nice. All right. Okay. Thanks, Otas. Anuka, can you hear now? Are you able to do your summary?
Yeah, I am now. My summary. For better for worse, I like this film. I guess I like it mostly because of the teen drama. I know it sets out to be a horror film, but the teen drama is not too bad, and these are my top two favorite genres. So I liked the teen drama. I wish that it could have been cut a bit and the killing can start earlier. I wish that there were more people killed. I wish that the characters, when they realized that they were in a that something was happening, that they acted with more, you know, agency. The thing about horror film is that somebody is running, they're chasing you, there's heightened emotions. All of that is part of the tone that was not set up. I don't think that we've understood horror films greatly in Nollywood yet. Miss Koi Koi is a good place to start, really, because it's the urban legend everybody that goes to boarding school knows. And I don't think it needs too much setup. I feel like the setup, every time they try to explain the setup for Madame Koi Koi, it distracts, because just like when you're sleeping, you hear Koi 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 Koi, and then it comes and kills you. It's scary enough. All the random, they are trying to, there was a tree, all of that. It keeps, it distracts from the killing. Sorry. So that's all I have to do. That's my summary. I think you should watch it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Anuka. Rachel, do you have a summary for us?
I think it's not Timmy before me.
No, it's not.
Okay. Well, I kind of enjoyed this. I think I prefer this iteration of the Madame Koi Koi, the Prime version of this over the Netflix one. The fusion between the Nigerian secondary school and the teenage horror flick, I think what's for me is like the part that made me enjoy this time was actually the secondary school in Nigeria. And I'm like, maybe that's, as we say, is nostalgia, but I'm like, when it evolves, the story revolves around everything about the Nigerian secondary school, it works out fine. Everything there is fine. It's what the horror aspect is I wish the horror aspect is bold. I won't say it's bold, but it doesn't, that's where it kind of like loses itself. But I still appreciate what's trying to be done. And I'm like, and I don't think it's 100% in terms of execution, but I'm like, when I look at the overall space, like if you say that in Nollywood, everything, the only thing that's kind of I'm noticing is like the visual storytelling in terms of just using the camera itself and aspects of whether it's from props or everything to tell a story. It's actually improving. So that's like when that trailer that first came out. I think that's the other aspect, that the trailer is almost, it gives you all the gang, the hot spots. So everybody comes, okay, we're going to watch a thrilling horror film. Then you start with this teenage drama. And I'm like, I think that part of that, the trailer itself was just heavily marketing, just like, oh, and you come in with some expectations. Now me, I can come in and just like watch it. I'm like, okay, this is what they're actually doing. And it might not work for some people. I actually understand why everybody that doesn't like it, why they don't like it. But I see the attempt, the intention. So yeah, I like it. I can suggest them for people to watch it. So yeah.
Look at that. You caught yourself. You caught yourself there. I see the intention. Okay. Anyway, Timmy, please give us your summary.
I feel like this film has some clear depiction of talent and skill in terms of filmmaking, not storytelling. And basically, ultimately, this film was not a good experience for me because I was left asking more questions than, instead of me to like really just be in the moment of the film, I was asking questions left and right. And it was not like it's not like the kind of good questions where you're like, oh, you're waiting for a reveal or something. Throughout the film, there's always this sense of that something is missing and you are supposed to have some context, emotional context, narrative context, any form of context. Throughout the film, that is all I was feeling throughout the entire film, that there is something missing, and so this scene is not exactly working the way it's supposed to work for me, and that was all I felt throughout the runtime of the film after like the whole inciting incident, whatever. Yeah, so the writing felt like patchwork of ideas. There was no thread sewn between them, and yeah, that's pretty much my summary of it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Timmy. Stephanie.
Once again, this movie has proven that motivation and backstory is really important. So, yeah. Also, please, can we like leave Madame Koi alone for a while? Let's do other stories. Like, create something new, please. Like, there are other things. There's a million things out there. Thank you. And my last thing, it wouldn't be me if I don't do this, but yeah, I have a very short story about a ghost story. This is not Madame Koi Koi, please. It happens in the period of like one night prep in an all girls boarding school. Please go to my page, it's pinned on my page. I think you enjoy it, and that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. I have to say I'm caught in between with this Madame Koi whether we should do more, because should we ruin more legends and folk tales, or should we
Focus on one.
just focus on this Madame Koi? Because this will have spoiled this one. And just, I know actually, I'm aware when, Nemsia were producing this, they didn't know the other Madame Koi was already in the works, but yeah, I don't know I don't know which one I prefer, to be honest. All right. But her elder card, using her elder cards to push in front of the
Yes,
lineman.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah, I'm older than all of you. Yes, me, I'm going to do my own Mrs. Koiko. If you guys like, you can knock your head on something, man. We should be able to do these things until we get it right, yeah? Uh, if I was the producer of this film or director, if I came in here and saw the number of people in this place, I'll be like, hey, I did well, oh. Because you people never come out unless the film is even a little bit good. So in that sense, they did well. Some people in here I've never seen them before, and it's because the film is not so bad. That's why they're all out here. So I would say that's a success in and of itself. So obviously, like most of the speakers have said, there's some good stuff going on. You can see that people are trying to make a film. That's the least we can even ask in Nollywood these days. Obviously, the story is not motivations. They just take the easy way out. And guys, I can't tell you that I won't. Sometimes there's some things that goes on in our industry that you just take the easy way out and finish a film. It's not something I'm going to start discussing here. Yeah, but these kinds of films require you having the script, mulling over it for a long time. It's something we don't do in Nollywood. Do you understand? You can't write these kinds of stories. And I'm telling it to the writers. Some of you are here. Maybe you're listening anonymously, but you're here. We can't do these stories and rush them and, and then think it's all going to work out. Nope. And then you have this beautiful performers. They come here and there's nothing they can do with it. There is nothing you are directing if the story is not, if there's some missing holes in the story, there's nothing you can really do. There's missing holes. That's why I think, I don't know when we'll have enough money for people to hang around with a story, have different people read it, work on it, and get it going. But if I can boldly say here that at least I was able to watch this story. It's not the one where I get so angry from the beginning and I'll start screaming. But of course, there was a few mistakes here and there. And then you have the actor, the lead actress, Otedola's child. So, I keep forgetting. Temi. If I'm going to cast her in a film like this, she would have to live in she would have to live with it. You understand? You can't have somebody like that come in and then her parents came in. I'm like, eh? These people didn't raise this person, because she doesn't sound like she was raised by those two people that came in. You see what I mean? And these are things that need time. When you need to have people come in, your actors come in, stay with each other, vibe with each other, so because you need it. And I don't know if they had it here, if they had the luxury of that, because all that stuff needs a lot of money to make. But with what they had, I think, they did a decent job. I mean, at least I watched the film. But the holes in the stories are quite a bit. I loved Demola. I liked Michelle Dede. I liked a couple of the young, Kalu, of course. Kalu's daughter as well, Then the other kids tried. It's just that most of their writing, there was no motivation for what they were doing. So you just felt a little bit like, okay, why is this person like this? Why is this person like that? And that's where really the writing fails. But believe me, I like Nemzia. They try, and hopefully we can get to that level where we can make better films where that you guys can like, but we will still keep trying. At least this gives one a little hope. This is the last. I think this is their last film in the films that were signed with Prime. So I saw somebody writing that he hopes it opens up a door. I don't know about that, but because this was signed for, this was one of the films that were signed for. So that's it. Those are my thoughts. I think it's a decent film, but there were just so many holes in the storyline that should have been fixed before it came on. That's it,
All
guys.
right.
But at least we have a film we're talking about. That's the only thing that even makes me happy that you guys came out to talk about it. It's a good thing. And I hope the producer and the directors take it like that, and the actors take it that the fact that you guys are discussing it, it's something good. Because there are films that have come out that I feel that shouldn't even have been discussed. You know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You know what? Just thinking about Nemsia, and I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said that Nemsia is like this year's first features, and it feels so right. Its first features was first features this year or last year? Okay, no, Kilborough was last year and all of that. But yeah. So the way first features were doing, like they felt like a different voice with a um different voice from the rest of the kind of Nollywood we were saying. I do agree that Nemsia is a step in sort of that kind of similar direction. In fact, actually, I remember earlier on, I think it might have been Vanessa, somebody else, one of us, because thought Nemsia was their first features production because it just has that feel of something closer to film as opposed to what sometimes we normally get, which feels like Roman Palo movies. So I think there's that, and so that's worth I guess that's worth mentioning, but like I said last year with first features, there's only so much patience, especially the people on here will give you with that, and then you'll just become, we'll go, okay, well done on having that different look and feel. Now, how about this story? Can we get something with the substance? But yeah, anyway. Oh, I forgot Uchenna. Uchenna, I don't know if you wanted to give a summary for Miss Coin.
I'll pass.
Okay. All right. Take from that what you will. Mrs. C.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't especially offensive, so make of that what you will. We're still struggling with having a lead that's worth rooting for. So again, something to work on. But yeah, I don't know, man. You can just put it on and pass the time. I don't think it will offend you.
Yeah, I'm struggling. For me, I'm struggling because I understand something about how sort of easy to watch it is, but like this offended me on so many levels. The acting is, for me, it's just not, it's really not good enough for me there were parts where like I got used to how bad the combination of the acting and how stilted the dialogue felt that I
I
just
think it
couldn't.
offends you is that they had an opportunity to do better and they didn't do better. I think that's where it's offensive. Okay, you guys had the money for certain things, so why not pay attention to the acting? Why not pay attention to the storyline? That's what I'm thinking.
I think
You
that
know,
that's probably that you're probably right, especially in the sense that because of the look, whenever you combine the kind of look that it had mixed with the kind of acting, it really feels especially disappointing. And so I can't. It's difficult for me to do a lot of some of what my fellow colleagues and even Mrs. C has said in terms of yeah. But I get it. I get it where they are coming from. And there's some people who like this even more than the Netflix version. Okay. Strong disagree, but yeah, anyway, I guess watch it and make up your own mind. Like there are obviously different people with different perspectives on this. But yeah, this one was not for me. But let's see what the next, apparently that's the last of the NEMS year. So I don't know whether we're done for a bit, but we'll see. We're taking a break next week, half year break.
Okay.
That's it.
Can you hear me?
Atas, we can hear you.
Is it nostalgia that makes horror movies from the past seem scarier? Like, is it a thing where we're going to watch it and it's going to suck? Because it just feels like we've gotten worse at horror movies, like entirely.
I don't, I haven't seen a Nollywood horror. Actually, no. That's not true. That's not true. I saw what's it called? The the original one. No, it
Mm-hmm.
does legitimate, and I think it goes to something Uchenna mentioned in terms of if you're going for a horror, do you necessarily want like everything to be looking quite crisp and clean? And I think that look as well, where things were a little bit, it almost kind of looks like found footage. If you go back and watch some of those things now, which is something sometimes we try to replicate. Some horror movies today try to replicate. So, and there were a lot of practical effects that we used that we're just not doing anymore that was much more effective in eliciting horror. I also think our stories were much more coherent and actually character driven back then than they are now. So
The one that
Hey, can I ask something? If Uchenna says I can decide to have something that looks clean, but have really crazy things happening, and yet it brings you in as if as if it's there's something. This is very nice, yet it's very evil. A director can decide to do that. The only thing is that these people are not actually conveying what it is they're supposed to convey. I can decide I'm going to have this look, and we've had films where you had horror. It's not horror, but really terrible things were happening, but the coloring was just so opposite to what was happening in the film. I can't remember this film that I remember. So if these people actually did well with executing this film, I don't think it's the look that will, you know what I mean? You would feel okay, like, look, they chose this look intentionally. You understand?
yeah,
I don't think the look has I don't really agree with Uchenna. You can choose that look, have everything look clean, yet some evil is lurking all over. The thing is that you have to execute that evil well. That's
yeah,
my two
That
pence there.
sense, though, and I think that's kind of what it is if you're juxtaposing a clean look with all these crazy things happening, there has to be some intent behind making it clean. I think what I'm thinking is
Exactly.
Parasite. I'm thinking Parasite
I'm
as
thinking
well.
Midsummer is actually what
Midsummer,
that
Yes.
one.
actually, Midsummer is great as
Yes.
well. It's like, it's very clean, it's very bright, but it's as
Yes.
horrific
Fine.
things happening. But there is a purpose to it being so clean and bright and shiny while the
Mm-hmm.
things are
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Yeah.
We're not seeing a purpose to
Yeah.
except the cameras and
Yeah. Uchenna, did you want to?
Yeah, I don't disagree with Mildred. I don't believe in filmmakers being tied to time-worn tropes that, if you're doing a genre, it has to look this particular way or that way. Like lately, I've been very interested in the subgenre called sunshine noir. Like when most people think of film noir, they think about high key lighting, very dark visuals and whatnot. But there's a style of noir that is very bright and colorful that tries to express the desperation and alienation that you get through traditional noir, but doing it through a colorful way. So I have no problem with that. But I think that in order to do that, in order to pull off that kind of subversion of a traditional look, you have to have a mastery of tone, which is something that Nollywood movies in general are not close to having. Like, yeah, I mean, I think it's a cheat code, basically. If you're not good at tone, which this movie isn't, just make the stuff dark and you're almost halfway there. And also, in terms of like certain kinds of special effects don't look good in broad daylight, like that car flipping over and stuff like that. It's one of those things that like the Marvel movies used to get a lot of criticism for, because they would have their fight scenes like in an airport in broad daylight, and the special effects look kind of corny compared to something like Batman versus Superman, which isn't a really good film, but they have their special effects at night, and it just looks a bit more impressive. So there's something about those kill scenes and the car flipping over and some of these other scenes that when you do them in broad daylight, you gotta really know what you're doing, because it just ends up looking kind of corny, and you can see all the deficiencies of the special effects that you wouldn't have seen if you saw it in the dark. That's what I mean when I said that I don't think it was a good idea to shoot it like it was a sitcom. Like, just just give it a little more texture. I'm not even saying that everything has to be at night, but there just has to be a little grittiness to it. I don't think a super smooth picture works for horror in most cases anyway. Whether or not you want to go for a bright color scheme, like Dario Argento, he's made some of the greatest horror movies ever, and his movies are incredibly colorful. But it's just about the color grade and the texture, the kind of film grain you have on it. I don't think shooting something that looks like it was shot in a supermarket is ever going to look horrific.
All right. Okay. What a space to end the half year on. Thank you everybody for all your time, and we enjoyed the first half of the year, the discussions, not always the films, but we're going to be taking a break, and I think we're back with a film as well. So enjoy your 1 week break from us, filmmakers. You have 1 week of rest before we're back on your necks. But thank you guys, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
People shouldn't choke on your drinks, during your break.
Hey, enjoy your break. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at IrokoCritic and join us every Sunday 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.